Especially, I wish to welcome our esteemed colleagues who have been nominated for a very prestigious honorary fellow award of Society for Plant Research for 2022. Those who have joined today, let me give a brief outline that with the conception of an idea of developing a society for plant scientists, Society for Plant Research was established long back in 1988. And naturally, in the beginning, there were few scientists who initiated it. And being the founder, I was privileged to be entrusted for preparing all the documents and getting it registered. Now, as every society has a different fate, it also faced ups and downs during last 35 years. But by the grace of God and by very active support of our colleagues, scientists, and fellow academicians, the society and the journal Vegetos has shown an exponential growth right from 1988 till date. And presently, its research journal Vegetos is a very well recognized global journal. And since 2019 means 2019, the journal is being co-published and circulated worldwide by a renowned publisher, Springer Nature. Initially, the journal was published by Society for Plant Research independently. And Springer Nature has put in a lot of input and has helped the journal in growing it to the present state. Now, during last month, we had an executive body meeting, and all the executive council members, they were of the opinion that apart from the routine membership, which we have as life member and as annual members, it is always good that we invite the renowned scientists who have potentially worked in the areas of their expertise. And for involving those scientists, it was the major motive that the society should have the blessings of those senior academicians. Secondly, from time to time, we may request them to contribute a review article, an article of their contribution to science during last 30, 35, 40, or even more years, so that the scientific community may be apprised of their contribution to the scientific world. So with these motives, society's executive body initiated the induction of 6 honorary fellows every year. And as you all know, yesterday also we were discussing that this nomination is not being done by the honorary fellows themselves, but depending on their large contribution, their stalwart status in academic field, our executive body members, they will nominate the honorary fellows, and depending on their nominations, all these nominations, because there is no selection or no criteria to identify that whom has to be given this honorary fellow award. But since executive council members, they are very senior faculty members, so whosoever is identified by them for honorary fellow, that scientist has got a great caliber, great potential, great contribution, and a global reputation in the field of their expertise. So, in order to follow the protocol, these names, which are nominated by the Executive Council members and the office bearers, they are formally sent to the screening committee. And the screening committee is basically meant to identify and approve various awards instituted by the society and also the honorary fellow. Because as a matter of protocol, they have to put their endorsement that we endorse the honorary fellows which have been nominated by the Executive Council. Almost every year we constitute a screening committee for award and honor, and for current year the screening committee was headed by Professor Amrik Singh Ahluwalia, former chairman of Botany, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and he is now co-vice chancellor of Eternal University in Sirmaur, Himachal Pradesh. So he was heading the screening committee, apart from 7 distinguished members of the screening committee who have endorsed the nomination by Executive Council members. So this is a brief scenario which I wanted to share with our esteemed colleagues so that they must know the procedure, that under what procedure the society is nominating the honorary fellows and how the other awards are instituted and approved. So this morning I welcome you all on board, and as yesterday we had 3 very important lectures, as most of our colleagues know, by Professor Manjeet Singh Tang, presently settled at Ludhiana, formerly Vice Chancellor of PAU, and a distinguished scientist at Kansas. Fortunately, he has joined us today also this morning. I welcome him once again. And another lecture was by Professor S.K. Rao from Indore. He is Vice Chancellor in an agriculture university at Indore. And the third lecture was by Professor Emilio Meleta from United Kingdom. Basically, he is from Spain, and he is the Chief Executive Officer, and formerly he was Director of Bioenergy Crop Limited. So we had 3 very important lectures yesterday, and most of them were focused on the upliftment of agriculture, which might help the growth of farmers, the betterment of farmers, and growing the agriculture in our country. Today we have 3 distinguished scientists on board, and we shall be having the lectures of all these 3 eminent scientists, and I'm sure that all our audience participants, executive body members and editorial board members and guests, they will be benefited largely by their deliberation. So today we have 3 lectures by Professor NITA KHANDEKAR, and Professor NITA KHANDEKAR is presently director at IISR, ICAR-INDIAN Institute of Soybean Research at Indore. Then we shall be having another lecture by Professor R. HANCHINAL, who was formerly Vice Chancellor at UAS Dharwad and worked as chairperson of PPV&FRA at Government of India, New Delhi. And the third lecture will be by Professor RAMASWAMY NANNA from Department of Botany, Kakatiya University, Warangal. So I am sure that all these 3 eminent scientists, they will make a wonderful deliberation, and we all shall be benefited by their lectures. So without taking much time, I will see if Professor Amrik Singh Ahluwalia, the chairman of the screening committee, is online or not. In case not, then we will directly invite Professor Anjali Agarwal to introduce Professor NITA Khandekar. Let me check whether Professor Ahluwalia is online. Thank you very much for patient care. In fact, it is very difficult when you go on accreditation tour to find time, but yesterday somehow he could manage join us, and I think today is not available. So anyway, we have discussed already that what is the role of the screening committee and how does it work on behalf of Professor A.S. Ahluwalia. Now, in this context, I would request Professor Anjali Agarwal from G.B. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology. She's a very senior scientist of biochemistry over there, and our secretary for North Zone in Society for Plant Research. She is a very dynamic scientist, and I wish that she should introduce and should give an introductory remark about Professor NITA Khandekar. Professor Anjali, please.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Professor Bhatnagar. Good morning to all the esteemed dignitaries, distinguished speakers, and participants present in this highly important event. It's indeed a very great honor and privilege to put forth the accomplishments of Professor NITA Khandekar, ma'am, who is the speaker of this session. First speaker, she is Director, Indian Institute of Soybean Research, Indore, which is governed by ICAR. I am presenting her accomplishments as Secretary, North Zone, on behalf of Society for Plant Research. I would like to mention before I start her formal introduction that I get the opportunity to interact with Ma'am NITA Khandekar several times in a year, as our station, Agriculture Research Station Madhera, is a voluntary center to carry out all India coordinated breeding trials of soybean. So I know her very well. She is a very dynamic, very disciplined person and takes a lot of interest in the endeavors of soybean. She is also a fellow alumnus, as she has done her BSc Home Science from G.B. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar. So this is another feather in the cap. She did her master's and doctorate in extension education from Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Izzatnagar. She has handled many projects funded by various agencies. Currently, she has many projects at hand, SPI and COPI. Just to name the few, impact of technological interventions on socio-economic status of soybean farmers under changing climatic scenario, SPI. Evaluation of residue management practices under changes in land configurations, crop establishment methods for sustaining or improving resources use efficiency, soil health, and crop productivity in soybean-based cropping system, SCOPI. Establishment of Biotech Kisan Hub at Manthan Gramin Evam Samaj Seva Samiti, Bhopal, SCCPI. Expansion of activities of DBT Biotech Kisan Hub in seven aspirational districts in Madhya Pradesh, SCCPI. So these are just few projects which she is handling right now. She has been conferred with several prestigious awards. To name a few, Uttam Grah Patrika Shield First Prize 2012, Nagar Rajya Sabha Karyanvay Samiti, Bangalore. Commonwealth Academic Staff Fellowship, University of Reading, UK, 2009-10. Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi Hindi Krishi Patrika Purushkar 2008, conferred by ICR. National Productivity Council Award 1997-98 by Ministry of Commerce and Industry, New Delhi. Besides this, She is a member of Program Steering and Monitoring Committee of DBT under the Biotech Krishi Innovation Science Application Network from 2016 to 2019 and 2020 to 2022. Member Equip Symposium Sustainable Prosperity, Wellbeing and Innovation, June 2016, Helsinki, Finland, Europe, nominated by Indian Council of Social Science Research, New Delhi. She is also an expert member in Indian Council of Social Science Research Project Review Committee and member of evaluation of gender projects for funding from 2011 to 2015. She is also the member of UGC Committee for funding of projects, foreign travel aid, postdoctoral research award, and departmental promotions from 2008 to 2011. Being an eminent scientist and a scholar, she is scientific referee for scrutinizing research articles of Journal of Horticultural Sciences, Indian Journal of Poultry Science, Mysore Journal of Agricultural Sciences, and Journal of Research, HAU-ICAR. This was just a brief summary of Professor Khandekar's accomplishments. Not taking much of time, I invite Professor Khandekar ma'am for her deliberation on Soybean Revolution in India. Thank you. Over to ma'am, Soybean.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Dr. Bhatnagar. I'll just share my slides.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Sure, please.
Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
It is fine. 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 Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Honorable President of the Society for Plant Research, the distinguished executive members of the society, the members, and all the guests. I'm never at a loss of words, but today I stand small and struggling a little bit to find the right ones to describe my feeling and my gratitude. I guess I can say thank you so much for this honor. I feel extremely humbled and honored to receive this award that has been bestowed upon me by the society. I would like to specifically thank the Plant Science family and the screening committee for this recognition. My relationship with plant science is one, I studied in an agricultural university, and number two, I have since then served in the agricultural system. I'm an extension scientist by profession, and it has offered me an opportunity to work and understand a tad bit in a multitude of areas in agriculture, unlike many of you who may have had a single area of work. So right from home science, as Anjali pointed out, I did my home science graduation in my graduation days. I was at a veterinary institute in my postgrad days. In the initial career span, I was in a poultry institute. In my mid-career, I moved to horticultural research. And now I am in the crop science, specifically in soybean. So I've had this experience of many an organization, which has also broadened the outlook and given me a different kind of out-of-box thinking, especially being an extension scientist. So talking about the topic today, Soybean Revolution, as everybody knows, soybean is one of the major oilseed crop of the country. And we are struggling with the oilseed scenario. We are only producing 1/3 of what is required here for the country's domestic consumption. And 2/3 is being imported, and we are always a target of many stakeholders, being from the right from the oil industry to the farmers, and we need to do something that changes this whole scenario. I'll just very briefly talk about how soybean came into our country, although the people who are from the hills would know, and the northeast would know, that soybean was always there as the bhat or the black soybean, whether it came from the China Silk Route or it was originally in the hills, is a point of contention that we still do not really find enough literature to specify. But formally in the 1967, with a pact with Illinois University, there was a CRIP on soybean at Pantnagar as well as Jabalpur. And I think so it was the YMV which caused a lot of devastation in the northern plains, and that is why Madhya Pradesh got the priority and the Jabalpur center could move forward. And consequently, in 1987, the NRC on soybean was established at Indore, which was upgraded to a directorate in 2006. And then to a full-fledged institute in 2016, with more scientists, more infrastructure, more funds pouring in, looking into the importance of the crop. And we are also now likely to be called the National Institute of Soybean Research. We have a lot of name change, and we are still called NRC by many and DSR by many. But we may again go a change, because there's the acronym is overlaps with other institutions, and there's maybe in the CFC we start calling National Institute of Soybean Research. I would also like to pay homage and reflect on the achievements the past directors have made, because where we are today, or where we are standing today, and all the efforts of the past directors that we have had, the 7 directors who I would like to acknowledge out here, and they have been the torch bearers of what we're doing today. Now, coming to the topic specifically, if you just have a look at this graph from 1970, when we did not have soybean at all, I remember my father was posted in Pachmari, and all the Narsimpur area was full of soybean, and it was a crop that was being talked about a lot in the 1984s or 85, I remember that. And it was just a newly introduced crop at the farmer's field, and it did very well in Madhya Pradesh initially. And now, if you see the graph, it goes up and down, and now it is more or less from 13 onward, we see a downward trend rather than the upward trend. And that has been a lot of concern, as I mentioned earlier also. And for many, I would like to also mention here that although soybean is talked about as an oilseed crop, but in the true sense, the DOC, the de-oiled cake, is of extreme importance, because it is exported and it is used in animal feed, and it is really making a lot of impact on how the prices of poultry goes, and we are facing a lot of challenges in soybean. Now, having said that, I would just like to show very briefly the last decade what happened. If you see, it's kind of, it moves up and down, and this has been because it's a kharif crop. It is an introduced crop. It is not native to our country. It's been introduced from America. So there are different kind of challenges, and moreover, it is a very photosensitive crop, and I'll come to that in my next slide also. So this is the kind of challenge that we face, that the area is more or less now, if you see here, it remains the same. The production is up and down, and the productivity is kind of stagnant. It's a linear line out here. Now, challenge 1, I would talk, I know it's not my subject, but now that I'm dealing with all these kind of things, challenge number 1 is the breeding. Because as I mentioned, it's an imported crop, it's an exotic crop that has been introduced in our country. And when we initially started breeding, we were looking for the high yielding material. And if you see the latitudes out here, which are very important in soybean being a very photosensitive crop. So we were using this material which fell between the latitude 25 to 35, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th latitude, maturity groups. So we were very scared of using any other because the plant would remain small, the flowers won't open, and I'm told that it was very difficult to breed that material, and that is why we were not using that. And there was some material which clicked when the scientists were multiplying, and those are the materials. If you see JS9560 and JS2034, the scientists who are aware of the soybean would know that these are the ruling varieties in a country, and we don't have the 335 out here, JS335, but JS9560 has been introduced in 2009, and it's still the ruling kind of a ruling variety. More than 40% of the area is under this crop. And the next very important one is JS2034, and these are from the upper latitude. So now we are also thinking of, this year we've imported the germplasm as well as varieties once again, because in between, after the 1967 or so, I don't know if in between there were some varieties that were introduced or imported. I have no record of that. But this year we have now imported 700 varieties across these latitudes, so that we can see whether there's some material that can be introduced as such, or whether we can use it in the breeding program. Those varieties, we can make the crosses, and they're all varieties which were before 1993, before the GM soybean was introduced. So they're all non-GM material that we are getting. As I talked about, the photo insensitivity is one trait that we have been able to introduce. When we did not have the trait, if you see here, this the man standing where the plant is taller than him, because of the photosensitivity. This was planted in somewhere in March, and the pods would just come. The plant would keep growing, and we have no pods out there. And by introducing the photoinsensitivity, now if you see the plant on the right, we could get the pods, and now the variety is, this is through mass-assisted selections, and we also have managed to shorten the period by around 15 days. So this is a very, very important breakthrough that we've been able to make in the past 1 decade that we have now worked on. Now again, the second point is, being introduced crop, we do not have a very wide genetic base that we have in the country. We have the first, the primary germ, the gene pool. We have nothing in the second gene pool, unlike many crops that we have a secondary gene pool. We have nothing in the secondary gene pool. And then we have the tertiary gene pool, where we have around 21 wild species. Now, using these wild species again is a very difficult task, and we are now attempting, we're going to attempt embryo rescue. We are going to go into protoplast fusion with the Biotechnological Institute, so that we can make some kind of headway, and we managed to use these wild species in our breeding programs to get widen the genetic base. Also, I would also like to mention that in Indore, which is an active germplasm multiplication site, we have not been able to maintain the germplasm or multiply it. We've not been able to give it back to NBPGR for the long-term storage, because the crop would fail in Kharif. There would be so much rain. If you see here, this is a Czech variety that we have, and this is the germplasm dying right and left. And this is the kind of scenario that we have been facing for the past so many years. So this year, what we have done, what I did, that because Bangalore, I was at IHR, and it struck me, it's a legume crop. It's a short duration crop, so it's 90 to 120 days crop in India. So why don't we try to multiply it in Bangalore? And US Bangalore is one of our center, ECRIP center, and the Vice Chancellor was kind enough to give us all the land that we required. We put in some money, and then this is the present scenario, and we've had all the, I think some 860 8,600 germplasms could survive out of it. And now from this, we are going to develop the mini core, and the core and the mini core. So from 9,000, we aim to get all from 8,600 to 860, and then to maybe 8690, whatever is the figure we are trying to do. And this will be a continuous process that we will keep on doing to use in our research. So this is one thing that I did. Now on the second side, we have a lot of biotechnological tools being a fortunate crop where the whole genome has been sequenced in soybean. So we have this opportunity of making use of whatever we know, and through the biotechnological tools, we have QTLs, we have markers, we have identified genes, and we have also the alleles for some of the genes that we have identified. We've characterized around 27 genes, and we have their 35 alleles are there. And these are very important traits that I'm mentioning out here: the maturity, longevity, which is important. Pod shattering is extremely important because when the heat goes up, we just have so much of pod shattering. KTI for the anti-nutritional factors, the trypsin inhibiting. If you want to introduce soybean into food, then KTI locks oleic acid for the keeping quality. There's so many of all these characters for vegetable type, the fragrance, and all these characters are extremely important. We also have a protocol for transgenic soybeans, so we are GM ready. If the government decides on that, we would be willing to take this up, and we have the protocol for that. In genome editing also, we had a scientist who, for CRISPR-Cas9, we aimed at high oleic presently, but in future we will also plan to have on KTI locks and the maturity genes, fragrance. So we're going to do a lot of work in genome editing, which will not be so much, which would find the way to the farmers rather than the transgenic route. We've done a lot in the marker-assisted selection, and we have various kind of varieties that have come up as a consequence of using the marker-assisted selection. Now, so we've traveled a long way from the black soybean, which I think was so good and consumed in the hills, and is being consumed even today, to various cycles I would call from before 1980, we would call it cycle 0, where the varieties that were introduced were planted as such. Then we had the selections and in the cycle 2. Then in cycle 3, we had the crosses of these varieties. Now cycle 3, I would name it as the mass-derived varieties, the marker-assisted selections. And we have now 6 varieties from our institute, which we have we've already been identified, and they're already been in the Gazette. Now this is all about the challenge number 1. Now we come to the challenge number 2, is the timely supply of quality seed. Soybean has a very unique character. The embryo lies right on the tip of it. You can see the green here, and in some of the varieties, the seed coat is tightly packed, and some of them it is very loosely packed. So the mechanical damage, the damage in harvesting, in transportation, in storage is so immense that it is, I don't know how many of you would really be aware that we are always facing a great challenge of not being able to meet the seed replacement ratio, the variety replacement ratio, we are not able to supply the breeder seed, enough of breeder seed. So it's always been a challenge for the past 5 years. It's really been a very bad situation. And now with the kind of shift in the monsoon pattern, there's a new problem that's coming up, that we have the pre-harvest sprouting is happening in the pods itself. So for this particular problem, we are trying to identify some genotype or some kind of spray or some kind of chemical which helps to not sprout the pods in the pods itself, the seed in the pods itself. So this is something that we're working on. We're also working on the improving the lignin content in the seed coat to protect the seed. And apart from that, there was a new kind of initiative that came about by, as I said, the out-of-box thinking, because when a variety was identified, I realized that it would take another 4 years for it to reach the farmers. And when we talked about how much seed was there, we had very little seed. And I know that there was a contingency plan that breeders would always breed under the breeder seed. We would take a summer, production of seed to meet the deficit seed. So I said, why not go to an area where we can grow soybean? It's a legume crop. Why not go to a suitable climate? So with that in mind, I conceived of a concept called 3S1Y, and along with a lot of partners from my institute, Dr. Sanjay Gupta is here. We have Dr. Mrinal, who is from the seed, and Sanjay Gupta is from the crop science. And he, in fact, it is his baby. The name is 3S1Y, is his baby. My concept was, in 1 year, why don't we do from breeder to certified? So breeder in Kharif, then in September or October, we take up the foundation, and then in maybe December, January, we take up the certified seed in off-location, off-season seed production. So this is a new approach, and this has been sponsored by, funded by DAC, because, as I said, we are always facing the backlash of all these people, and they were willing to fund a pilot on to see whether this works out. So we have 2 locations. One is Belgavi, is Belgaum, and the other is Kolhapur, and it is working extremely well. And if you see right here, the lady with the handful of pod, this is the harvest of 17th January of this year itself. And I'm glad to inform the house out here that we were able to produce around 4,000 to 5,000. But Dr. HANCHINAL is there, who is a part, he's a consultant in our project also. And I met him through this project only. And so he has really done a lot of work for us, and he's really taking this forward. And this is one project that's extremely close to my heart. And GAC gave us some 3.5 crores to fund this project, work on this project. Now coming to the challenge number 3 is the biotic and abiotic stress, like any other crop. And being a kharif crop, as I say again and again, with the climate change, with the shift in the monsoon pattern, this has again been because soybean being a, as I had mentioned earlier, a photosensitive crop. If the monsoon is delayed, then we have shorter durations of the sunlight hours reduce. And when the sunlight hours reduce, the pods would, the plant would not grow to the height it needs to be grown. The flowers would come very soon. So these are some of the challenges we are facing, apart from the pre-harvest pod sprouting, and the disease and the pests. They're extremely weighing down on all of us. So we are also now developing varieties which are drought and waterlogging tolerant or resistant. So we are identifying genotypes, also the varieties that are already there, or the accessions we are trying to work. So we've developed these whole artificial screening techniques for the insects and disease. There are only some of them. And in soybean, it is one of the crop which has everything. It has so many diseases. It has so many insects because of the, I think so, maybe the narrow gene pool is the one of the major reasons that we are so susceptible to all these kind of external forces. And with that, we are also trying to have a very advanced IPM package where we are targeting multiple kind of disease and pests, and the weed management. Weed is a major problem, and I think so in all over the world, the GM is for the herbicide resistant. But in India, in my opinion, and it's absolutely my opinion, and I don't know whether others would agree with it, being a short duration crop, I don't feel that herbicide resistant is so important as the the pest and disease management. Because if the farmer is to spray one spray, he would spray it anyway. And if he sprays that, we would not have the weed. So in America or in the Western world, the crop is around 130 and 140 days duration. They're the challenges, and they're vast lands that need to be sprayed, and they cannot be managed. The weed management cannot be done. So I feel that in our country, there are other traits that are more important than the herbicide-resistant soybean GM. Now, challenge number 4 is the area expansion, because everybody knows soybean is limited to the central zone, which is the Malwa region is the major soybean growing area. So we have Madhya Pradesh, the Northern Maharashtra is the major soybean, and some part of Rajasthan, as well as Karnataka is coming up in a new way, and Gujarat. So these are the major soybean growing areas in the country. Whereas it has a potential, it grows from from north to south in the world in all the latitudes. So why not in our country? Now, because we have different climatic situations, the rainfall pattern is different from those countries, the sunshine hours are different, and being, as I said again and again, that it's a photo sensitive crop. So we need to work on these kind of parameters, and we are trying to identify different, now whatever material we have brought, we are trying to identify that for different seasons, and we have come up with Rabi and Spring soybean. Now from 3S1Y, we learned that yes, it can be grown in other seasons in certain areas. Now we need to identify material which can, be grown at different places at different seasons. So we are working on it and how to do it. One is seed production in Rabi and Spring. Sugarcane intercropping, we have so much of area. Even if some part of it is put under soybean, it's going to be a win-win situation for the sugarcane farmers and for us. And here, my colleagues laugh at my idea, but I because again I say that I come from horticulture. For the past 15 years, I was in horticulture. So the idea of, can we have it in pro trays? Can we grow soybean in pro trays to see that the germination happens properly, and we are ready with the plants when the climate is okay in the northern plain zones, when maybe in end of February or March, when the weather gets better. So if we have it in pro tray, so we need to try. The scientists sometimes we wear a kind of the, what are they called? We have a kind of straight line approach. So we need to step out and then see what works. We may fail, and we should not be scared of failures. And that is what I encourage my scientists to do. That your academics on one side will ensure that you get all your promotions, but do science for getting results that are required. It may be positive result. It may be a negative. Negative result is also a kind of result which says, okay, this cannot be done. So we need to do that. There are paddy fallows right from, we were traveling extensively in Northeast and in Bihar and in Orissa, and there's, hectares after hectares of paddy fallow, which are waterlogged, which have the stubbles of the previous crop, the rice crop. Can we have a modified machinery, the broadbed and furrow machine, or some kind of seed drill, where we can, using conservation agriculture, we could plant in the stagnated fields and have some drought, the waterlogging tolerant varieties, and we need to explore all these things, and we are right now on the track to doing this so that we have something in the future. There are some emerging niches that we need to identify. We've shortlisted all the indicators that are required to see whether soybean can be grown, what is the soil type, what is the temperature, what are the sunshine hours. So we're working with NBSSLUP, and we are going to map all the area in the country across the seasons, across the months, to see where soybean can grow in which season, right from Kharif to the whole year. That is what we are now working. And if you see down here, we have we are experimenting on sugarcane intercropping. In Maharashtra, it is being done. In Karnataka, in some areas, it's being done. We are looking to the northern plains, to Uttar Pradesh, where the major soybean, the major sugarcane area is. Now coming to the future plans, this is very close to my heart because I'm basically an extensionist who has put her mind to the other aspects. So I would like to just briefly talk about the ICT initiatives that we have introduced. There was some already. You have a Facebook page, you have a YouTube channel, which is there. It is very, kind of a very slow pace. It's being used. So I gave momentum to that, and we launched a Madhya Bharat Samachar, which is a weekly episode, or off season it is maybe sometimes in 10 days, and that has really improved our visibility from we had 100 and or 900 people subscribing to a channel, and now we have more than 10,000 people who are subscribing to a channel. So we have our advisories, which we've converted into a YouTube video, and with the pictures we show them a weekly advisory which goes every Monday on our channel, and we are also circulating it among all the government officials to the Ataris, and we are very intensively using, and the kind of response that we're getting is immense, and we are also responding to that. We also now initiated a Insta page also, because we need to be with the time and with the younger generation. We have some apps that we have developed, and we're getting a great response to all these initiatives. I would also like to touch upon the new initiatives with IIT. We are trying to collaborate with some of the IITs and get into these the drones, the IoTs, and the AIs, which are extremely important to improve the productivity. Maybe we have robotics, a robotic hand to pick up the weed. Maybe we have a laser eye to targetedly spray on something. We have drones that can identify. Now we have the GOT in our seed grow out test. And I was saying, why can't we have imaging and developing a kind of imaging process that says, okay, yes, this is one. This is the variety that we are planted in the field, and we don't need to go for the grow out test, so that we minimize all these stereotype kind of things that are there in place with the Seed Act. We have used the laser biospeckle method to identify diseased seeds. This is a small experiment that was done with IIT Indore, and now we're trying to develop a prototype so that it can be upscaled and introduced. And then somebody was mentioning, why can't we have some kind of sensors in the storage where we store the soybean, so that we know there's some insect there or the humidity goes down, so that we can save the seeds that are there. So there's so many areas that are coming up, and we are developing some kind of, we are entering into MOUs with various the technological institutions to see that we slowly move ahead in this direction to see that soybean revolution happens once again from the 70s, and the stagnation is, we break the stagnation and meet the oilseed requirement as well as the DOC, and fulfill our country's requirement. That is all from my side. So we had a bare land that was there, and from there we have developed facilities, and I would like to thank everybody for giving me an opportunity to speak today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor NITA KHANDEKAR, for wonderful deliberation. And before we proceed further, I would request all our esteemed colleagues, participants, and fellow colleagues to discuss or to put up few questions, because we have got 5 minutes almost, so that we may interact on this point.
Professor Bhatnagar,
Yes,
Dr. Rita KHANDEKAR, I congratulate you for this wonderful presentation. And I would like to mention that I am also alumnus of Pantnagar University. So Dr. Anjali Agarwal and myself and yourself, three are together here in this meeting.
Yes.
Yes. So this was actually I passed out in 1975.
Okay, sir.
Masters in genetics.
Okay, I was from 80 to 84.
Oh, great, great. But we are alumni, right? We are alumni from Pantnagar.
Right.
So, so you are honored with this title of the honorary fellowship. So we will work together for the society.
Yes.
And the only thing which I want to mention here, that you have picked up such a nice institution in India, which was actually based from American contribution in the beginning, if I remember. So scientists from University of Illinois, they came and they field trials in Jawaharlal Nehru Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, Jabalpur. That was the first entry of soybean research. And Madhya Pradesh was the only state which was selected for this kind of work because of its climate, which is much more suitable for soybean cultivation. As you have rightly mentioned in your lecture, and we have worked a lot on this. That is the waterlogging tolerance and the maturity period and so on. And you have then extensive work on the reducing the maturities time. So from say 130 days to 90 to 100 days, then 80 to 90 days, isn't it?
Yes,
So
sir.
I think it's streamlined. So I congratulate you for all this kind of wonderful piece of work on soybean, and it's highly impressive contribution. We congratulate you wholeheartedly. There is no question arising out of your lecture at all. So this is only a comment.
Thank you, sir.
Complimentary remark. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now we have a few more questions. Professor Anjali Agarwal, she want to ask.
Sir, actually, I don't want to ask anything. I just want to compliment Ma'am KHANDEKAR and would put forth that both of you, Professor Vedpa Singh, much senior than me, than Ma'am, and I was there from 85 to 93. I did my master's and doctorate from Panagar, 85 to 93 in biochemistry. And Ma'am, your lecture was extremely eye-opening, though we conduct the soybean trials here, but the certain points which you highlighted today were really eye-opening, and especially Rabi plan for soybean would be a great milestone in the field of soybean research. So thank you very much, ma'am. It was very eye-opening lecture for me as well, and very nice presentation. Thank you, ma'am.
I also congratulate madam, and now you are in our family, and also I request you to become the life member also for this one.
Sure, sure.
Unfortunately, I could not hear your lecture because the interviews are going on for our young professionals. I have taken 45 minutes break and I come here. I'm in Kolhapur, Kandiarivat now.
Thank you, sir. We have a very quick question by Dr. Devachidi Ghosh, and then we will proceed for another lecture by Professor R. Adhanchina. Dr. Devachidi Ghosh. Kindly unmute your mic.
Hello.
Dr. Anushri.
Hello.
No. Okay. So I thank Professor Nita KHANDEKAR for a wonderful lecture. Basically, I have one very small point to ask before we proceed further. That I served for about 11 years in the western part of UP, where sugarcane is a cash crop. And you talked about the intercropping of sugarcane with soybean. So whether both these crops, they will be quite compatible, because there is a mindset in the farmers of western UP particularly that we have to grow sugarcane and nothing else. Once upon a time, when Chaudhry Charan Singh was the Prime Minister, he used to say that if you find space on my head, then you will try to grow sugarcane on my head even. So they are so passionate about sugarcane that they do not want to go for any other crop. So if the intercropping of sugarcane with soybean will be a profitable venture, then I think that western farmers in the western region should opt for it. What is your comment?
So the sugarcane, the soybean that we are planting is when the new sugarcane is planted. So it is maybe around February in Uttar Pradesh. It is planted around February. So by the time the sugarcane grows, to a height that it needs more space, the soybean will be harvested. So we are not going to compromise in any kind of plant geometry of the sugarcane. The plant geometry of the sugarcane field remains the same. In between, we plant the soybean, and the water requirement, whatever is going for the sugarcane, is the water requirement of the soybean. So it is a kind of a win-win situation where there's an additional crop. That is why we are able to think about the pro-tray sowing, because this is an additional crop, even if there's a higher cost of planting soybean, because it's not a high-value crop like the horticultural crops. But even with that is what I am thinking. So I was saying that everybody was laughing at my idea when I said, why not try on pro-tray? So, but we will give it a shot. We have to fail if we fail. but we have to try to see, because that will be an extensive area that will be available to us if we are able to do this.
So thank you. It becomes a bigger responsibility of state agriculture universities and other agriculture universities who are working in the western part of UP to educate through their extension program the
Yes.
farmers so that they should adopt this win-win situation by making an intercropping of soybean with sugarcane.
Yes.
So thank you very much. And now, as you know, as in the beginning, we already discussed that this morning we are having three esteemed scientists who have been conferred Honorary Fellow Award 2022. And I would request Professor D.K. Srivastava, Vice President of Society of Plant Research, to kindly give the introductory remark about Honorable Professor R.R. Hanchinal, who happened to be the President of this society as well, to kindly give an introductory remark. Professor Srivastava.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Bhatnagar, for giving me the opportunity to introduce and welcome Professor R.R. Hanchinal. Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome and introduce a fabulous person who is not only a renowned scientist, but also an excellent administrator, Professor R.R. Hanchinal. He has immense contribution in the field of plant breeding and genetics, seed production technology, intellectual property right, and plant genetic resource management. Presently, he is consultant in agriculture industry. He is also president of the Society of Plant Research. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
He was associated with the Government of India, New Delhi, as a chairperson of Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Right Authority since 2013 to 2019. Prior to the current prestigious post, he has contributed valuably as a Director Extension Education, Director of Research, and Vice Chancellor of University of Agriculture Sciences, Dharwad, Karnataka. He has visited various countries during his tenure at the various prestigious positions.
Professor Hanchinal, sir, your mic is on, please. Thank you, sir.
He has published various research papers in the journals of international repute. He has also handled various research projects funded by the various funding agencies. He has guided a number of PhD students who are now having a very good positions in the country and abroad. He is member and life member of various prestigious academic bodies. During his services at various levels, he has been awarded with many prestigious fellowships such as National Academy of Agriculture Sciences, Honorary Fellow of Indian Society of Genetics and Plant Breeding, and many more. I have been fortunate enough to meet him from time to time at various occasions. Without taking much time, I humbly invite Professor R.R. Hanchinal for his inspiring talk. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Professor Bhatnagar, sir, the founder, Secretary General of this esteemed society, Dr. Srivastava sir, Dr. Ved Prakash ji, Dr. Anjali, and all the office bearers of the Society for Plant Research, our Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
I'm audible, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir.
There are some-
it's audible.
Yes, sir. And on this occasion, I would like to make a presentation or a talk on food and nutritional security through accelerated seed security in India. It is in continuation of Madam NITA KHANDEKAR, who talked on the soybean for oil security. As all of you know, I have to take this one. Where is it? 1 minute. I'll bada karna chahta hu. Yes. Yes, sir. Can you see this one, sir? Hello? Hello?
Not visible, sir.
Not visible, sir. Slides are not visible.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Slides are
Slide is
not visible, sir. Not visible. Slides are not visible.
Lights are not visible. 1 minute, sir. Just will. Is that?
Earlier it was visible.
Just a minute, sir. I'll just.
Okay, please.
Is it? Weak, yes. Yes. Is it visible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sorry for the disturbance. And now, as all of you know, sir, when we became independent in 1947, at that time, we had a very humiliating situation of ship to mouth but today we are in a good position only because of the green revolution that about 60 years back, and 50 million tons, which was in 19 to 296.65 million tons in 2020-21. And also the horticulture production increased from 47 million tons in 1991 to 314 million tons in 1819. And also the green revolution has been universally acclaimed as the success prize of the farmers, scientists, government. And if you take 1967 as the base year, we have made a lot of progress in all the food crops, then pulses, oilseeds, and also commercial crops. To give an example, rice, it was 35 million tons in 67. Now we have increased it up to 118 million tons. Wheat, 12 million tons to 7 million tons. Maize and pulses particularly 10 million tons to 23 million tons, and we became self-secured with respect to pulses. But oilseeds still we have to attain the oil security. But even then, presently from 6 million tons, we have produced up to 33 million tons. Cotton also we made a lot of progress because of the BT cotton. So totally, as I said, from if you take 1967 as the base year, from 74 million tons, we have gained up to 296 million tons. And just I shall give the example how our research helped in productivity gain in different crops, particularly in field crops, that is high volume, low value crops. Public breeding research has played an important role in crops like rice, wheat, sorghum, etc. And here, if you take the 1965 as the base year, the area is increased by 140%, and production is increased by 799%, and also the productivity is increased by 274%. This is all mainly because of the the public breeding, strong public breeding system that we have in India, with more than 300 scientists working at different places. And if you take the public-private partnership, that also, made a lot of impact, particularly in hybrid crops, that is open pollinated hybrid crops like maize, wherein our productivity increased from 547 kgs per hectare to 2,557 kgs per hectare. And if you take the commercial crops, wherein only the private sector made a lot of impact for our productivity. I have taken the example of the cotton. You see, before BT cotton came into existence, before 2000, you can say, 100% area was under non-BT cotton with productivity of hardly about 292 kg. When the BT cotton was introduced, BT technology was introduced in cotton 2002, the area was only 2% with 302 kg per hectare productivity. And by 2011, the productivity gone to 531 kg, and presently 98% of area is under BT cotton and more than 600 kg per hectare productivity is there. It's only because of the Bacillus thuringiensis cotton, which we introduced into the cotton crop. So this is all mainly because of the research, public-private research, and also the commercial, research by commercial sector. Now coming to the seed. Actually, whatever the variety or hybrids that we develop, if we provide quality seed or planting material, then only it will be useful. What is seed? It is nothing but a mature ovule consisting of embryonic plant with stored food surrounded by the protective coat, that is the seed coat. And in seed, how it differs from grain is only important. Grain is obtained from any variety or hybrid. We don't know exactly, but here in seed, we are definite that it comes from a particular variety or hybrid, having high genetic purity, high physical purity, and also very important thing is the germination percentage, high germination percentage, and also the high vigor and free from all diseases and pests. That's why the seed has played an important role in increasing the productivity of agricultural crop. That's why we always call seed as a very critical input in agriculture, which acts as a catalyst for all other inputs. Seed alone contributes about 20%. And if we provide the other inputs, then the productivity gain would be around 45 to 50%. That's why we call this as a catalyst. And this importance of seed, it is recognized since Vedic period. And if you see the some of the old scripts, ancient scripts like Yajurveda or even the Manusmriti, the value of seed has been mentioned. And in Manu, particularly, he says in Smriti, Subijam Sukhetre Jete Sampadayate, in the sense, if you provide good quality seeds in good soil, certainly your yield will be more. That's why the timely availability of quality seeds of improved varieties and hybrids at right place in adequate quantities in a required pocket size at affordable price is crucial in realizing the better performance and decides the health of the Indian agricultural economy. That's why always when whenever we talk of agriculture, we always talk about the seed and also the varieties. Now coming to the pre-Indian independence development, how seed was treated before. Actually, there was no work at all since till 1947. But whatever work that we found before independence, that is in 1850 or so, Sutton and Sons, that was the only seed company at that time, used to supply the seeds from Western world and particularly the vegetable seeds. And there was no systematic laboratories. It's only the seeds. State Department of Agriculture used to multiply whatever the seed that is available and used to supply. But when the India faced a famine at that time, the then imperial government constituted a royal commission on agriculture, and they made a lot of recommendations, and followed by the other experts also, and that's how there was some improvement that we could see in the post-independent development. And particularly when we got independence in 1947, from in the first 5-year plan, 1951 to 56, there was a committee called Grow More Food Enquiry Committee. And here, we got the expertise from the from USA under Ford Foundation, as well as also US aid. And it was Dr. Johnson who made a lot of suggestions to us. And one of the suggestions was to introduce the inbred lines of the maize, and with that the hybridization took place and 4 hybrids were developed. And with these 4 hybrids, the seed production program was taken, and then to distribute the seeds, the National Seed Corporation was established in 1963. This is how the system started developing, and again afterwards the new seed development policy came into existence, and also the new seed laws came, and because of that we could make a lot of progress. And this is how in a nutshell, I can say that the Indian evolution in seed industry, it took a lot of time. Actually, the real journey started during 1960s. And before 1947, as I said, there are no private companies at all, seed companies at all. And only because of the enhancement of Seed Act 1966 and Rules 1968, we started developing and promoting the commercial seed industry also. And between 1948 to 1970, there were 3 seed companies, privately owned seed companies. And in 1971 to 1985, 6 private seed companies. And when the development of new seed policy came into force, and also the National Seed Policy 2002, when they came into force, they encouraged the commercial seed industry. As a result, we have around 600 private seed companies, and also we have well recognized the regulatory as well as legislative framework with us. So if you take 1960 and 80 as the base year, at that time research and development was in public domain. Presently, the research and development in only high volume low crops is still with public domain, and the research with low value and high low volume and high value crop is with private sections. There was a lot of restrictions between 1960 to 80 on germplasm exchange and also the foreign ownership, etc. That is the MNCs and other things. But this new seed bill policy 1988 really opened up an eye or towards the progress, and because of this, foreign direct investment was allowed, and import of improved varieties and particularly the breeding lines were liberalized, and the trade regulations also liberalized. That is a very important thing. And current status, we have, as I said, we have around 600 seed companies, and private sector accounts for 70 to 76% of the seed supply, and they have their own R&D and they spend a lot of money and R&D also. Coming to the public system, we have a well-organized public system with respect to crop improvement and also the seed supply systems in the to the farming community. This is one of the model system in the globe itself. We have more than 65 ICR institutes, 3 central universities, around 48 state agricultural universities devoting towards the crop improvement and the seed supply system, and around the Krishi Vijnana Kendras are now 731, not 725, 731, and Government of India has established the pulse hubs 150 and the oilseed hubs 26 and millet hubs also 25. This really helped, and along with this, farmers participatory seed production program, then seed village schemes, they all helped for the promotion of the seed industry in India through National Seed Corporation and 17 State Seed Corporation, and also the quality is being maintained by the seed 25 state seed certification agencies. In addition to that, we have 8 ISTA, that is International Seed Testing Association accredited labs, and 18 have become the membership. Out of 8 ISTA accredited labs, 2 are with the public system and 6 are with the private system. And this helps for the export. This ISTA system helps for the export of seed from India to other countries. And also we have more 132 notified seed testing labs to look into the quality aspect of the seed. And as I said, there are more than 600 small and medium-sized private companies, and they are producing around 144. Seeds in 144 different crops by 80 companies. And we have 2 seed associations, that is the National Seed Association of India with 507 members and Federation of Seed Industries of India 42 members. Now they are in the verge of merging and making as one association. And in addition to that, we have a lot of AICRPs. With that, we are working on particularly on crop science. There are different 66 AICRPs are the other system also, that is associated system. And in seed alone, there are 951 scientists working, and for the support of the seed in the development of varieties and hybrids, altogether, there are around 2,076 scientists are working. And in addition to that, in AICRPs, there are around 1,783 scientists are working for the and again here the crop improvement and seed development go hand in hand. Unless and until we have the good varieties and hybrids, we cannot produce the seeds of the other things. And also the contribution of varietal development, particularly with respect to the high volume, low value crops by ICR institutes, then SUUs is very, very prominent. And nowadays, even private sector also is involved in development of varieties, putting them in AICRP trials and for getting it notified. And so far, between 2014 to 2020, we have developed around 1,406 varieties which have been notified by the Government of India, and for which we are producing the seeds. And if you take our the Seed Act 1966, when it came into existence, into force during 1969, after the rules were formed in 1968, there are 534 crops we have developed in different crop varieties, and hybrids. And this is in addition to whatever the private companies are developing and releasing them as the truthfully labeled varieties. And now, the nutritional security is also very, very important. And for that, the government of India is giving a lot of stress on biofortification. And in 71 crop varieties in different crops, including the horticulture crops, we have developed the biofortified varieties to elevate the malnutrition. And here, I just would like to give the example of soybean. We have developed the 3 varieties, that is, I think NITA madam must have told, NRC 147, NRC 132, and NRC 142. These are the 3 biofortified varieties. The first 2 varieties are having rich in oleic acid. In soybean, there are 3 different types of oils. Acids you find, but the most important one is oleic acid. And we have developed the varieties which possess more than 42% of oleic acid. And one variety, NRC 142, it is null KTI, that is hypoxygenase, the enzyme which brings the bad smell. And now we have varieties without that, and also the anti-nutritional factor, that is trypsin inhibitor. And if it is there, and if it is if the seeds are directly added into the atta of wheat or anything, then that affects our intestinal system. That's why before the development of this NRC 142, we used to advise the consumers to first boil the seeds at a boiling point, and then dry it, and then use it. So now that we have developed the this anti-nutritional factor variety, and also the bad smell we have removed by releasing 142, which is very, very important. This is the biofortification that we have made by removing this beanie flavor as well as the anti-nutritional factor. Now coming to the seed market in India, really it is a lot of evolution took place in this. If you take 2008 as the base year, we used to have the business of only around 0.74 billion US dollars, and today we have reached up to $8 billion worth of seed business, and the growth is between 14 to 17% between 2010 and 19. Now it is around 14 to 15%. We have very good progress that we have made with respect to the seed market growth. And also we are exporting a lot of seeds to different countries, maize and rice, these are the important things, along with the cotton and sunflower to different countries. And so far, we are exporting every year around $83 million worth seed. But though we rank as respect to the seed market, 5th number, but here with respect to export we are 26th number, and there is a great scope for us to export the seed to Southeast Asian countries and also the Africa. When I was working in Africa, I could personally visualize, experience how much scope it is. But only thing is that we have to harness that. Unfortunately, still we are importing a lot of seed. It is worth $98 million, particularly the vegetable crops and also the flower crops. And very interestingly, I would like to mention here, the seed is produced in India, particularly in some parts of Karnataka, and then the raw seed is exported to the European countries, particularly the Netherlands, and there after processing, Again, they send it back. This is the position that we have, and we are losing a lot of foreign exchange. And if we can process here and send it, certainly we can earn a lot of business with respect to export. As I said, 66% of the global market is occupied by USA, followed by China, then comes France, Brazil, and only 4.4% contribution is from India. And there is a great scope, afterwards I'll come about that. And also, the 75% of the global market is mainly on maize, soybean, and the vegetables. International, 1 minute. Actually, the international export, about $14 billion, the globally we are making that one. And Indian export to Asian countries, it is 60% of the total export of India. And as I said, there is a great scope for export to African countries. And national seed policy also envisages 10% share of the global seed market, and for which we have to work on that. And one step forward that Indian government has taken is the promotion of OECD scheme. Though we are not a member of OECD, but we are member of the OECD seed scheme since 2008, and from that we are exporting a lot of seeds. If you take the seed supply system in nutshell, whatever the seed that you want, we have to give indent to Government of India, and from there the indents are from state government, National Seeds Corporation, State Seeds Corporation, and other things. And this indent is given to ICAR, that is Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and in turn ICAR gives to state agricultural universities and ICAR institutes through DSR. And whatever the breeder seed that we produce, we intimate it to ICAR, and in turn it will intimate to Government of India, and Government of India makes the allocation. So this is the system that we have. Once we produce, once the state government and other agencies produce the foundation seed and certified seeds, then the distribution agencies are there, and they will go to, then finally it reaches the farmer. This is the system, very wonderful system that we have in India when compared to other countries. And because of this, we could make a lot of progress with respect to seed replacement rate. Seed replacement rate reflects the productivity gain and in different crops. On an average, during 2004-05, it was 22%. Now we have reached up to the 39%. Still, there are a lot of problems which I am going to deal. And again, one very interesting thing that we could notice because of the new seed development laws and other things, policies. Previously, the public sector, like state agricultural universities and the ICAR institutes, they were dominating with respect to the seed production system. 60% of the seed produced was from the public sector. And today, only 42% is from public sector, and around 57 to 58% is from private sector. In the sense, our seed system is moving from the hands of public system to the private system. One way it's a good sign because there is a healthy public-private partnership is moving on. But if you take the breeder seed indent by the private agencies, only they are concentrating on the field crops like rice, wheat, and the pulses, mainly because the government, we are very strong in research and development with respect to the field crops when compared to the hybrids and the vegetables. That's why the private companies, they take our seeds and do the market. And Indian system has developed a lot of innovative methods like mobile-based this one, barcoding system, and also this innovative delivery system, also kiosk system. You just for taking the some cold drinks and other things you use. So here for seed also we have developed this system. And I was talking to you about the export, how to promote the export from just $68 million to how best we can take it to some at least 1.5 to $2 billion. This is only through different schemes. And one of the schemes is OECD scheme, and there about 151 varieties have been identified for the export. And with that, we are exporting a lot of seeds, and I have given the data up to 2019-20, and so far we have exported around 23,074 quintals of seed, and still there is a great scope for the improvement of this one. And whenever you talk of export, then the quality we have to achieve a lot. And this OECD quality system, and also AOSCA, that is Association of Seed Certification Agencies located in USA, and ISTA I already told, International Seed Testing Association, and also IPPC, that is the International Plant Protection Council, and UPAO, just like the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act that we enacted in 2001, for which I was chairperson for nearly 5 years. Same thing, international level, a system is there that is called as UPAO, and these are very, very important for particularly the export system. And OECD labels are different, and our labels are system different. In our case, it is foundation seed, certified seed, and only these two things are there in the act, and breeder seed, from which from breeder seed they produce this. But whereas in case of OECD, the system is something different, and labeling system just I given, that is also different. And here the only thing is that whatever the seed that we export should have to have 100% the germination percentage and also the genetic purity. Now coming to what is the strength of our seed sector, Indian seed sector. Here, India is bestowed with tropical climate, subtropical climate, and temperate climate. In the sense, we can produce the seeds of all the crop varieties, whether it is temperate crop variety or subtropical or the tropical. That is the one advantage we have. And we have a very strong research base also. And I only gave you the data of public system, and in private system also, very huge system that I have noticed as independent director in some of the seed companies. And India is one of the richest country with respect to plant genetic resources. More than 49,000 the plant species are there with us. And also India is one of the centers of genetic origin identified by WAVILO. And out of 34 hotspots, India, there are 4 hotspots with respect to plant genetic resources in India. And also India has well-established biotechnology laboratories to address the molecular breeding and trade development programs through biotechnological tools. You are more expert than me, and you are working on that also. And as I said, India is also a member for some of the international companies, international associations. And also we have a very strong regulatory system, and availability of human resources plenty in this. And coming to the example of pulses, if a country can decide, we can do wonders. Once we are net pulse importing countries, today we are surplus in pulse, and also we are ready to export. We are producing now almost about 23 million tons of pulses. That is the strength that we have. But there are a lot of challenges also. As you know, today there is a lot of climate vagaries. We are very much involved in soybean seed production, and this year, because of climate change, that is untimely rains, most of our crop was affected by, and germination is lower than 60%. And also there is no strong seed sector. It's all fragmented seed sector. There is another lacunae that we have. And also we have a lack of perfect seed rolling plans. That plan, always we should have to have about 10-15 years plan, and that we don't have exactly. And the dominance of very old and obsolete varieties in seed chain. To give an example, in case of sorghum, still Malandi is being cultivated, and in case of soybean, still JS335 is very popular. But how best we can replace them by improved varieties is really a challenge because of some problems. And varietal mismatches. Today I want a seed of a particular variety, but I don't get. I get the seed of which I don't want. There is also problem is there. And no systematic efforts in seed production of vegetable varieties in public sector, but it is there with private sector. You see, always we should have to have strong public system also, so that the rates can be controlled. Otherwise, private sector will raise the rate in a very big way. And huge variation in seed replacement rates across the states. There is also one problem. Lack of seed production research. We are giving a lot of importance to crop improvement research, but seed production research is also equally important, and we have to concentrate on that. And there should be a good trust between public and private sector. That is lacking. And if you take the 7 or 8 the north eastern hills region states, absolutely there is no seed quality control system, except to some extent in Assam. The other states, it is not at all there. And also the poor coordination between the central and state agency, that is another problem. And we have developed a lot of genetically modified crops, you know well, but again there is a problem with the regulatory mechanism. Except for cotton, others they are not given. And actually, to have a seed security, we should have, that is not there. And another very important point is 70% population is in India. It is 6 times more than Canada, but Canada is 4 times bigger than India. And again, 2.4% of world area is in India, and cultivable area is 142 million hectares. And water availability is also around 4%. Under such circumstances, we have to work. And another challenge is, whatever the seed that we produce, it is not reaching to the sub-marginal farmers and marginal farmers. Only to some extent, the large farmers are getting the benefits. Hence, the affordability of promising varieties, supply of quality seeds, and research technology for seed development, I feel, are very, very important. And if you take the formal system as well as informal system, it was actually 60% was informal system, and the 40% was formal system with respect to seed distribution. But because of our continuous efforts, we have brought it to 37%. From 62, we have came down to 37% informal. Still, this 37% plays an important role. And how to take this 37% informal seed system as a benefit to us, in the sense there are very unique varieties with respect to the farmers' varieties. Say, for example, Nawara rice it has a lot of medicinal values, and like that, there is one rice called sarvat rice, which acts as an antidote for poisonous snake bite, and also the kasala gene, which fixes the phosphorus from prosperous poor soils. Like that, lot of advantages are there, and we have to make very systematic efforts in seed production and also supply to the farming community. And they have excellent quality characteristics, and also lot of medicinal values are there. And hence, now it is high time that we should have to take up the program. And what are the way forward? A systematic, strong, vibrant seed production system is needed, and also to actually 35% seed replacement rate we have to achieve in all the crops in self-pollinated varieties, and 50% in open pollinated varieties, and 100% in case of hybrids. This can certainly help in doubling the food grain production. This is very, very important, for which we have to try. And also the varietal replacement rate is also very, very important. I told in case of soybean, still just 335 is ruling, and there are many varieties which have come up well. Now we have to popularize that, and this varietal replacement rate also we have to increase. And the upgradation of existing seed system is need of the hour, so that we can provide quality seeds to everybody. And again, the effective farmer-friendly model has to be developed to make available the quality seeds of improved varieties and hybrids timely at affordable price. When I was at US Dharwad for 13 years, we worked on that, and we developed a model which has become very popular not only in India, in abroad, particularly African countries, as Dharwad model of seed production. So such success stories we have to develop and see that the farmers get the benefit of it. And in tribal hilly regions, I already said, farmers varieties are very popular, local varieties are very popular, and we have to produce the seed and bring them to seed chain. And the development of modern infrastructure facilities and also capacity building is need of the hour. If you visit some of the private seed companies like Indo-American seed company, or Kaveri Seeds, or Nujudi, or Indian companies, and Bayer, for example, multinational companies, excellent infrastructure facilities are there. Why you should not develop that? And this particularly ISTA accredited labs, out of 8 ISTA accredited laboratories, that is the International Seed Testing Association membership, in India, under public sector, so far it was only 1. Now, very recently, we could add 1 more, and the others are 6 are in private seed companies. So, why, being a very strong public system, why you should not come forward to match the work that is going on with the private system with respect to the seed research is concerned, is a really concern to us. And absolutely, there is no research with respect to the forage crops, and we are in short of almost 70% in seed in case of forage crops. How to improve upon that is a really challenge. And restructuring the quality assurance and quality is very, very important. And lastly, the way for another one is, I was telling how best we can make our farmer rich. It is not only just producing seeds and supplying to the farmers of our country, but also if we can take forward the seed production for the other countries and the export business, certainly this will help in doubling the farmers' income. Lastly, Professor M.S. Swaminathan in 2009 said, the second green revolution will depend on quality seeds. Hence, there is an urgent need to bestow the attention of policymakers to promote healthy seed industry and achieve second green revolution through seed and through seed research. And with this, I always plead that seed security is very much needed for food security, nutritional security, and health security. thank you very much for your kind attention, and I'm also very much grateful to all of you for identifying me for the honorary fellowship. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for a very nice presentation.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So I would like to congratulate Professor HANCHINAL for a very nice and elaborate presentation. I think it was really, all of us has enjoyed this lecture. On this, I think the talk is open for discussion if we have some questions.
Any clarifications, any suggestions, sir? Congratulations to Manjit Singh ji, Professor Manjit Singh ji. After a pretty long time, I'm meeting you, sir. Thank you. Madam Anju ji, Anjuli.
I think she was here only.
Yeah, she has raised the hand.
Yeah. Professor Anjali, please.
Yes, presentation, Professor
Please
HANCHINAL.
continue.
Very important.
Thank you, ma'am.
And seed is the ultimate way to life and the livelihood. So it was very informative and very nice presentation. Very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam.
Sir.
I have a small question.
Yes.
That once upon a time, seed were provided by a multinational company, as everybody knows, not to name. And the Terminator seed technology was also provided by them, so that our lot of farmers, they were not capable of preparing their own seed in the field, which ultimately caused a drastic loss to the farmers because they had to go for fresh seed from that company every time. One thing is there that whether the seed being provided by our Indian company and by the intervention of modern technology is feasible, and whether the farmers, they can multiply the seed in their field as usual, or they can get the improved seed varieties in the field itself, or they will have to go to the company for buying it every year. This is one question, sir.
Yeah, sir, particularly the cross-pollinated crops, better if we change the seed. Whereas in case of self-pollinated crops, once in 3 years, you can change the seed. And fortunately, Professor S.K. Rao sir is here, and he knows that so in soybean, nowadays, farmers have started replacing the seed every year, because when they purchase the seed in summer, I mean May month, and when they plant in Kharif, and because of the climate vagaries, it is caught in the rains and it will not germinate. Particularly in many states like Karnataka, Maharashtra, and even Madhya Pradesh maybe. So it has become a routine to purchase the seeds regularly. So if you keep the quality in the sense I told, the genetic purity, physical purity, the germination, viability, and seed health issues, if we can include all these things, and if it is okay, then in self-pollinated crops, you can once in 3 years, you can take up. That's why the seed replacement ratio in self-pollinated crops, I said 35%. And in case of cross-pollinated crop varieties, it is 50%. Whereas in hybrids, 100% seed replacement is very much needed.
Thank you, sir. And one very small query, because with the intervention of biotechnological tools, the people, they are focusing more on synthetic seeds. So I want to know what is the fate of synthetic seed, whether it is an eyewash or it is going to help the farmers in the long run.
Sir, particularly these EDVs, essentially derived varieties, will certainly help. I shall just give an example of the rice, I mean, this soybean variety JS335. And if we can introduce, there is one of the best varieties developed by Professor S.K. Rao sir is here only. And it has throughout the country, there is no variety matching to this now also. Farmers are still cultivating. And if we can introduce the, incorporate the rust resistant genes or the disease resistant genes, certainly the life of that variety can certainly increase. So this, certainly the biotechnological tools play an important role doing that. And in case of basmati rice also, a lot of work has been done, and super basmati and other things, by incorporating the genes responsible for the disease and pest resistance. That we can do, sir.
Sir, at certain places, we have observed that the people, they are preparing synthetic seed for those varieties where the normal high cultivated seeds are already available. I do not understand that we should try synthetic seed formation only in those varieties where the seeds are not competent enough, they are not compatible, or they cannot germinate under the natural condition.
Yes,
Or they have got some type of genetic barrier or cytogenetic barriers. And
I
they
agree
are
with you.
unable to germinate. Yeah, we should focus more on the synthetic seeds of those varieties. But particularly for the variety for which seeds are readily available and they can be grown under natural condition, I think there is a sheer waste of money in the form of project or anything. So this is my humble observation that such type of synthetic seed formation may be prevented, and
I agree.
We should go for highly endangered varieties where seed cultivation is not possible.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a wonderful deliberation. I think everybody enjoyed and have enriched themselves by very good input by Honorable Professor R.R. Hanchinal, and we are also blessed to have him as our president, and we feel privileged to extend this honor as an honorary fellow of the society, and we can applaud this perfect contribution, I should say, perfect contribution to science and society. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us and for accepting this honor by the Society for Plant Research.
So thank you very much. I am very happy that Dr. S.K. Rao, sir, with whom I had
very nice presentation.
opportunity to work, and really I am very grateful. And
Very good contribution.
Professor Man sir is also, is also there. Thank you very much, and thanks to all of you, and also the committee members and the society executive committee members. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, this is, I think if any more discussions are there, then we can go for the interactive session where all our participants, young scientists, budding scientists, they can pose their questions to the experts and to our esteemed honorary fellows. They will remain available in case Professor Hanchinal has got some engagement, as he told that he is busy with some interviews. So we are grateful for sparing a lot of time here. So in case he is not available, then other subject experts, Professor Rao, Professor Kang, and Professor NITA, they might address to the issues. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, kindly permit me, sir. Interviews are going on. Just
that's why I said, sir. Thank you very much.
So kind of you, sir. So kind of you. Namaste, namaste, sir.
So this is the time to switch over to our next esteemed honorary fellow, Professor Ramaswamy NANNA. He is from the Department of Botany, Kakatiya University, Warangal. So I would request Professor Ashish Bhatnagar, our esteemed executive body member and the editor-in-chief of the upcoming newsletter Phytopia, which shall be released shortly from the society in order to enrich our general audience and the members and other scientific persons, in which most of the information will be gathered together. So I invite Professor Ashish Bhatnagar to kindly give the introductory remark about Professor Ramaswamy NANNA. Professor Ashish.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Very good afternoon to all of you here. It is both my pleasure as well as honor to introduce this August gathering to an illustrious and exemplary researcher in plant technology and tissue culture, genetic breeding, Professor Ramaswamy NANNA. Professor NANNA was born on 19 February 1956. He did his MSc in Botany in 1978 and PhD in Genetics and Plant Breeding in 1982 from Kakatiya University. He has 152 research publications to his credit and has authored or edited 18 books for intermediate degree research students and competitive examinations. He has been awarded the Indo-Hungarian Academy of Sciences Fellowship in 1983, Indo-Netherlands Cultural Exchange Fellowship from 96-97 at Vrije University in Netherlands, Third World Academy of Sciences, that is TWAS, and UNESCO Associate Fellowship in 2002, 2004, 2008, and 9, National Center for Genetic Resources and Biotechnology, Brasilia, Brazil, and Indo-Hungarian Academy of Sciences Fellowship, BRC, at Hungary in 2007. Professor Swamy supervised 22 PhD students in the area of molecular cloning, genetic transformation, biotic and abiotic stress-tolerant transgenes, and plant conservation. He completed 12 major research projects from various funding agencies and delivered plenary lectures at international conferences held at IIRI, Groningen, the Netherlands, St. Louis, USA, Colombo University, Sri Lanka, and Johns Hopkins University of USA. Professor NANNA delivered 55 lectures as chief guest, keynote speaker, plenary speaker in various national and international conferences, symposia, workshops in India itself. He served as convener of Biotechnology course, convener of DST FIST program, chairman, Board of Studies in Biotechnology, head Department of Biotechnology, principal of the University College of Kakatiya University, coordinator of UGC SAP DRS Phase 1 and 2. He was nominated or elected for more than 12 national and international academic bodies like Fellow of IBS, Fellow of Genetics and Plant Breeding, Fellow of New York Academy of Sciences, Fellow of Linnean Society of London. He is member on editorial board and reviewer for various national and international journals and has organized workshops in 4 international conferences. Professor Swamy received many coveted awards or honors and distinctions. Academy of Plant Sciences India Award in 2005, Andhra Pradesh Scientist Award in 2007, Excellency Award in 2009, State Meritorious Best Teacher Award in 2010, Talented Biotechnologist Award 2011 from Sri Lanka, Talented Scientist Award 2012 of USA, UGC Visiting Fellow to St. Gadge Baba Amravati University 2012, Excellence in Research Award 2014, Outstanding Faculty Award 2017, Professor Panchanan Maheshwari Medal Award 2017, member of Biosafety Committee of DBT, Visiting Research Professor at NEHU, Fellow of Telangana Academy of Sciences, National Biotechnology Expert, DBT Spectrum Planning India in 2020, and India's Most Dynamic Achievers Award in Biotechnology in 2021. Presently, he has been appointed as biotech expert by Spectrum Planning India to assess the DBT-funded projects. Given the time constraint, it is not possible to cover the entire spectrum of the contributions of Professor Swamy. Thus, I end my introductory address here and most respectfully invite Professor Ramaswamy NANNA to deliver his lecture. Thank you.
So thank you, Professor Ashish Bhatnagar for your nice introduction. So good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Honorable Founder Secretary of SPR, Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, and the distinguished executive members and distinguished scientists and other participants. So really, I'm very happy to deliver a talk on the eve of this Global Rendezvous lectures organized by this SPR Society, Global Rendezvous of Honorary Fellows, Academic Legions in Plant Research. Really, I am at the outset, I would like to profusely thank the executive body and especially Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, Founder Secretary General, Society for Plant Research, and as well as Screening Committee Chairman, Professor Hauluwalia, for selecting me as or electing me as Honorary Fellow for 2021. And on this occasion, I would like to just enlighten on Transgene Technology for developing stress tolerance in cultivated tomato and groundnut. So, which has been going on in our lab. Stress. So, presently, we think that I am in stress because I have to deliver a talk in front of distinguished scientists. When I feel a stress, generally my cellular body will synthesize the related protein molecules in order to resist against the stress. Likewise, in the plants also. So, just they are exposed to different environmental conditions and biotic factors. So, that is the reason why they go under a stress, and according to that, whether they go for avoidance or resistance, developing resistance. And the stress here, two types. So, biotic and as well the abiotic. If you take any sort of biotic or abiotic, resistance is important, the adaptability of plants to adverse environment, because when they are exposed to adverse environments, it is very possible to develop stress resistance and the stress avoidance or stress tolerance. There are different types of stresses, especially biotic stress and abiotic stress. And if you take the abiotic stress under the high temperature, low temperature, salinity, excess water, drought, radiation, chemicals, wind and oxidative. Yeah, the same thing here is shown in the form of scheme: heat, drought, salinity, flooding, freezing, and as well as the chilling. Yeah, when any plant or crop plant is exposed to different environmental conditions, which is under stress, but it has to resist or develop the avoidance. When any stress is there, there is nothing but it creates some signal perception, and based on that, the signal transaction will be taking place at cellular level, and then the concerned gene is expressed. When gene is expressed, means naturally we know that the concerned mRNAs and as well as the protein molecules are synthesized. And these are of two types. The protein molecules are of two types: functional proteins and as well as regulatory proteins. And these two types of molecules are important for the avoidance and as well as to develop the resistance in either you take the plant or crop plant. So here stress avoidance in the whole growth process does not meet the phase of adversity. Means in order to avoiding the stress conditions, the plant has to adopt certain type of adaptations. So especially we know pretty well that when stress is there, so the plants, they go for the shedding of leaves or shedding of nicotine. Generally, we can also observe in the environment that during the summer or autumn season, the shedding of leaves will be taking place, and during spring season again they sprout up. And this is nothing but avoidance process. But the second one is stress tolerance. This is very, very important. In order to resist this stress tolerance, the plant has to go for different sorts of physiological process. So here, when we discuss about the abiotic stress of different types, it directly effects on the crop loss about more than 50%. And even due to the declining water availability by 2025, 30% of production will be at risk. And according to World Bank projects, that the climate change will reduce crop yield by 20% or more by the 2050. So far, there is no transgenic plant is developed in cultivated tomato. So another important one is especially the salinity is the major environmental factor which can cause hepatic stress in limiting the plant growth and the productivity. When high temperatures are there, the salinity concentration is increased in the soil and as well as the plant system. If that will be continued, and that will have the detrimental effect on the plant. So that is the reason why the detrimental effects of high salinity and plants can be absorbed at the whole plant level as the death of plants or decrease in productivity. Either death may be occurred or we can see the decrease in the productivity of crop yield. Yeah, to tolerate high levels of salts, so actually they go for some osmotic adjustments to internally distribute these ions to keep sodium away from cytosol. Although some success has been achieved through conventional breeding, but its use is limited due to reproductive barriers and as well as the presence of low genetic variations among major crops. So why the scientists are not able to create by using the genetic engineering technology or the biotechnology for producing salinity tolerant plants, because when they go for the breeding experiments, it is highly impossible for getting resistant, stress-resistant plants within no time, but it will take longer time. Hence, the genetic engineering process is very important for developing any sort of stress, especially salt-tolerant plants. And here we did a lot of work on tomato in order to develop the salt tolerance. And this tomato, we know pretty well that belongs to Solanaceae family and highly nutritive vegetable crop. And though it is a temperate crop plant, but it is extensively cultivated in the tropical and subtropical regions of the world around the year. And currently, the tomato is grown in an area of 45,28,519 hectares worldwide, with an annual production of 12,47,000 metric tons. So it ranks fourth among vegetable crops. So then why we have taken up that research on tomato, cultivated tomato, because it has vitamin A and C and fiber, and also cholesterol free. And another important thing is tomato contains approximately 20 to 50 mg of lycopene, and which is the most powerful antioxidant in the carotenoid family, and it protects humans from free radicals that degrade many parts of the body and is also known to prevent cancer. So that is the reason why we have selected this cultivated tomato for developing salt tolerant, because it consists of lycopene in the fruits, and which has more importance physiologically in human beings. Especially the lycopene is carotenoid family and prevents oxidation of low density lipoprotein cholesterol and reduces the risk of developing atherosclerosis and coronary disease. And this shows you how the benefits are there for the tomato. It has so many advantages. When I had been to Netherlands for the first time for my postdoc, and everybody was eating burger with raw tomato. And generally, we don't eat raw tomato in Indian. And when I saw for the first time, yeah. So for the first time,
Dr. Rajnikant, kindly unmute yourself.
And this is when I wondered why they are eating means just because of eating of that raw tomato, and they look like very young, and as well as regarding all these benefits, because obesity, metabolic syndrome, and cancer of the breast, ovaries, and uterus. So asthma, infertility, lung cancer, cancer of the stomach, and prostate cancer, melanoma, and cataract. All these can be cured just because of this tomato. And I also suggest that So even if Professor S.K. Bhatnagar, if he takes regularly that raw tomato, then he cannot become old and he looks like young always. So this is the just structure of the lycopene, which has a molecular weight of 536.89 and plays a very good role regarding controlling of a cancer and as well as it works as an antioxidant. So in our laboratory, just we have constructed the this vector, and by using red vesicle 80NXX1 gene coding for vehicular sodium and as well as hydrogen anti-code introduced into the genome of Lycopodium experimentum. And this scheme will show you how we have constructed the vectors for transferring this 80NXX1 using two types of promoters. One is constitutive promoter, CMB35S, and as well as the another one is the SIP, stress inducible promoter. And these are the conception of PRGX vector containing 88 with the CMB35S promoter. And the figure will show you the original Picambia 1301 vector with two constitutive promoters with virgin and multi-cloning sites. And modified 1301 we classified the RJX vector with 88 driven by this 35S promoter. So that the gene was 80NX gene was replaced in the portion of virgin using NOCOL and as well as the DST digestive product from the vector. And this is the vector we have constructed containing a 80NX1 gene with the constitutive promoter and as well as the bar gene. And this figure will show you the regarding the digestive concepts to see whether the bar gene is inserted into the plasmid XHO1 sites of the plasmid. Yeah, now we have done the molecular cloning using antiporter gene, that is nothing but 80NX1 with the stress inducible promoter SIP and constitutive promoter CMB35S with bar gene as selective marker gene by replacing in Picambia 13 and as well as the 1301 subsets. So here two different vectors, PMX and PMS, were developed to use in genetic transformations to engineer rabatic stress tolerance. And here the importance is especially in order to develop salt tolerance in cultivated tomato. And we have cloned the genes consisting of 80NXS1 with the constitutive promoter and as well as the SIP promoter, stress inducible promoter. And for this transformation experiments, we have selected two types of explants, cortidon and as well as the hydrocortil. And maximum frequency number of multiple shoots were recorded at 2.0 mg creatine plus IA in cortical explants when compared to the other explants. So we have also studied the influence of antibiotics on regeneration and found the cementin at 400 mg has shown 100% bacteriostatic effect and enhanced regeneration efficiency of cortical explants. And we also studied the lethal effect of PPP determined by screening the transformed explants. And these figures will show you establishment of transgenic tomato plant. So induction of transgenic shoots from certain explants, and then rooting in vitro. Then here we see the transgenic tomato before going into greenhouse. So then the next one is transgenic tomato plant after 25 days acclimatized in greenhouse after transplantation of 2 days. Yeah, this is molecular evidence for confirmation of the transgene in T0 plants. So PCR screening of potato transformings. Then the transgenic lines of tomato with the 8NX driven stress inducible promoter. Then RT-PCR screening of potato transformings regarding the transgenic lines of inducible promoter. Yeah, these are the pictures of molecular evidence of confirmation transgene in T0 tomato plants by using southern hybridization. Yeah, after developing these transgenic plants, and we have established in T1 lines in greenhouse, and we also studied the hydroponic studies. If you see the first one, so that is in vivo established seedling of T1 lines, and then in vivo established C1 lines, and then so then figure C to do 3 week seedlings transport on different concentrations of salts. And then here, we have given the different concentrations of NaCl, that is millimolar treatment for the transgenic T1 plants. And in the first one, transgenic lines and wild plants cultivated in hydroponic plants without NaCl. But in the second one, 2 different lines of transgenic lines carrying antipromoter gene given by constitutive promoter and as well as the stress-inducible promoter. 2 types of transgenic plants are present. And in the next one, we see the overexpression of 35S and as well as the SIP, that is stress-inducible promoter, along with wild type of plants grown at the same time, consisting of 200 millimolar NaCl. And here we can see all the wild type of plants were shown stunted growth, and after 3 weeks of treatment. And in another one, we can see the comparison of constitutive promoter consisting of constitutive promoter and as well as the overexpression of SIP promoter under 200 millimolar sodium chloride concentration nucleons tank. And the note only here we can observe that all overexpressed SIP lines were shown good growth. However, the 35S constitutive promoter lines also shown less growth when compared with the SIP lines, stress-inducible promoter lines. Okay, here we can clearly see the transgenic tomato at higher NaCl levels, and transgenic lines of constitutive promoter and as well as the overexpressed SIP inducible promoter, stress-inducible promoter, along with the wild type of plants. Under 250 millimolar NaCl in hydroponic plants. And here we see the difference is even the wild type of plants just they were dying, and the constitutive promoter consisting of constitutive promoter of transgenic lines, and we see they are not fully healthy. But whereas in the case of the SIP promoter, the transgenic lines which are consisting of SIP promoter, and they are very healthy. Yeah, here the transgenic tomato even plants at different stages of treatment with NaCl, and the importance here is the constitutive promoter at 200 millimolar NaCl after 45 days of treatment. But here in the second one, stress-inducible promoter just because of its overexpression, the transgenic lines at 250 millimolar NaCl after 45 days of treatment. Yeah, here we see the CYP-OAX1, that is overexpression of transgenic lines at 250 millimolar after months of treatment, and they are very healthy. And here we compare the SIP promoter, stress-inducible promoter, and as well as the constitutive promoter, consisting of these 2 promoters in transgenic lines at 250 millimolar and as well as the 200 millimolar NaCl. Yeah, here we can see that there is a growth development. So when we see the transgenic lines which are consisting of constitutive promoter, they are grown at 200 millimolar NaCl after 70 days of treatment, and even so the transgenic lines which are consisting of stress-inducible promoter grown at even 250 millimolar NaCl after 70 days of treatment, but they look like good and as well as healthy. And here we see the flowering and fruiting in greenhouse. So the flowering of transgenic lines consisting of SIP, and then fruiting of transgenic lines consisting of constitutive promoter, then fruiting of wild type tomato. Then there is a lot of difference between wild type tomato and as well as the transgenic lines. And here we see the transgenic tomato fruits of this SIP promoter consisting of SIP promoter, and then another one is constitutive promoter. Yeah, here we observed enhanced ion conformative ventilation via sodium hydrogen antiporter overexpression. And just now we have observed the difference between the constitutive promoter and as well as the stress-inducible promoter. So because the transient lines which are having constitutive promoter are they grow slowly and they are weak when compared to the transient lines consisting of a cis-inducible promoter, that is with ATNX gene. And after production of transient lines, after development of transient lines, we also worked out certain biochemical aspects. So the first one is proline content. And when we have observed the proline content, naturally, in transient lines consisting of CIP promoter having more this proline content in old leaves and as well as young leaves, but whereas here in root and as well as the fruit, so the concentration of proline is decreased. Yeah, another one, sodium content. We also analyze the sodium content in transient lines consisting of 35 and as well as the promoters. And here we see in old leaves, so naturally the content is increased in when compared to young, and followed by in root and as well as the fruit system, the sodium content is decreased. Yeah, another one is chloride content is also analyzed. Here we see the same type of phenomena. So especially in transient lines consisting of 35 is promoter, we see the less amount of chloride, and then in CIP promoter, in transient lines consisting of CIP promoter, we see the more amount of this chloride, especially in old leaves and as well as young leaves, but whereas we are not observed that much amount in fruit, in root and as well as the fruits. So another aspect is especially here we also observe the potassium content in wild type and as well as the transient lines, wild type and transient lines, and in especially when we compare the old leaves and young leaves and the root and as well as the fruit. So in transient lines consisting of this CIP promoter has more potassium content when compared to other lines. Yeah, another one is this sugar content, and we know pretty well that sugar content is also important at the time of the stress conditions in croplands and the plant system. There is a more synthesis of these carbohydrates will be taking place, and when we compare here old leaves and young leaves and root and as well as the fruit, so more content is observed in fruit system. So according to our observations, for the first time, 896 drive with the stress-inducible promoter showed enhanced tolerance when compared with the constitutively drive antiporter gene. And especially this study implicates that CIP represents a promising candidate in the development of crops for enhanced tolerance to genetic engineering. Based on our transformation experiments and the transgenic plant development, so CIP generally plays a great role for developing stress tolerance, especially salinity tolerance against different types of salt concentration. Yeah, thus we have developed the transient tomato plants overexpressing evacuate sodium hydrogen antiport are able to grow flower, produce fruits in the presence of 200 millimolar NaCl. And according to our observations, we suggest that the possibility of potential use of these transient plants in saline soil. Okay, in continuation of our studies And we also isolated 4 banana genes from Brazilian banana especially, and cloned in different by taking the help of different vectors and introduced into crop plants. And our scholars, they have studied by using these 4 cloned genes, and the 2 genes have shown that high thermotolerance and as well as high temperature tolerance in tomato. That is PKM1 and as well as the S22. Yeah, another stress is biotic stress, and this will be caused just because of living organisms, especially viruses, bacteria, fungi, and nematode, and as well as the insects. And this biotic stress occurs as a result of damage done to plants by other living organisms, so such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites, beneficial and harmful insects, weeds, and cultivated native plants. And just because of that, it is called biotic stress. And it is a major focus of agricultural research because there is a great loss will be there, the crop plants which are under biotic stress. Yeah, here certainly there is a relationship between biotic stress and as well as the crop yield. Affects economic decisions as well as practical development, because when any crop plant is under the biotic stress, even at the vegetative stage or inflorescence stage or fruiting stage, naturally it will have the effect on yield parameters. Yeah, the fungi especially cause more diseases in plants than other biotic stress factors. We know pretty well that there are more than 8,000 fungal stress are known to cause plant diseases. And this because of that, there is a great loss to the crop plants. And this is a defense mechanism, how the plant will have the resistance against the different sorts of pathogens. So because there are 3 aspects of response: hypersensitive, local, and systemic. But the thing is, here also, when any pathogen attacks the any crop plant, so naturally they have to go for either adjustment. If adjustment takes place, naturally there is a loss to the crop yield, and in order to that, it will develop certain type of molecules. So certain type of molecules, especially 1,3-beta glucanase type of molecules, or chaperones or chitinases, and which can resist against the different types of pathogens. Yeah, this will show you how the wild plant and as well the sensitive plants will die under the different types of pathogens. Because as soon as the pathogen is attacked, so when any pathogen attacks the plant system or crop system, so naturally it has to go for different types of physiological changes or biochemical changes. And according to that, some certain type of crop plants, they synthesize pathogen-related protein molecules, either in the form of protease inhibitors or chitinase or glucanase. And these, just because of the accumulation of these molecules, and they resist against the growth and development of the fungi. Yeah, we have developed the transgenic biotic resistant groundnut, and we have used especially. We have selected this groundnut. Why? Because it has great importance as an oil, protein, minerals, and vitamins. And here there is a growing demand of groundnut as a food. So in terms of peanut confectionery products in the world, even the protein cake residue from oil processing is used as an animal feed and as well as the soil fertilizer. And another important thing is low-grade peanuts are also widely sold as garden board feed. And most Indians use peanut oil as cooking oil or vegetable oil, and peanuts can be used to make lactose-free milk, like beverages and as well as peanut milk. And not only that, even they are having a variety of industrial uses, and paints, varnishes, lubricating oil is also synthesized. Leather pressings, furniture polish, insecticides, and nitroglycerin are made from peanut oil. Soap is also made from saponiferous oil, and many cosmetics, especially contain peanut oil and its derivatives. And another important thing is the protein portion of the oil is used in the manufacture of some textile fibers, and peanut shells are also used in the manufacture of plastic, wallboard, and abrasive fuel and cellulose. Yeah, in groundnut, why we are selected means in order to develop the biotics against different types of fungal diseases. And we know pretty well that here the groundnut, more than 20 species of fungal diseases were recorded, and the yield losses due to fungal diseases are enormous in the cultivation of this crop. In India, especially, the losses in yield due to leaf spots. So early leaf spot and as well late leaf spot diseases are there, and even rust have been estimated to be in the range of 50 to 70% of loss. And another important thing is there is a lack of resistant varieties against these foliar diseases. And these foliar diseases are commonly called as ICAR disease. We know pretty well that if you observe any leaf of this groundnut, at a particular stage we see so many spots on the surface of the leaf. And why they appear like that means just because of the ICAR disease and caused by Cercospora agricolicola. It is called as early leaf spot disease, and Cercosporium personatum, and it's called late leaf spot disease, and Vaccina arcadis and rust. Yeah, based on our literature survey and according to our experience in groundnut, there are no reports available till to date by using the specific gene, TC-chitinase gene in groundnut. And hence we have chosen that chitinase gene to isolate it from this Theobroma cocoa to develop the fungal resistance through agrovactor-mediated genetic transformation for the first time in peanut. And we have selected two sensitive varieties or genotypes of groundnut, ICG 13942 and as well as the ICG 78227, which are high yielding and as well as the sensitive to these ICAR disease. And because transgenic peanut lines possessing fungal resistance genes offer an alternative to traditional resistance and fungicide application in managing the fungal disease, because many farmers will use different sorts of fungicides in order to control these type of fungal diseases. And by using genetic breeding technology, there are so many barriers are there to develop the fungal resistant peanut or fungal resistant groundnut. Hence, we have chosen this TC-chitinase gene for introducing the gene into groundnut for developing resistance against fungal disease. Yeah, this is structure of the given AR chitinase concept cloning the 141 pp, and this is a linear figure. Yeah, we have transformed the by using agrovactor-mediated genetic transformation in DNA-related cotyledonous plants and as well as the cultivars of peanut by using the binary vector within AR. Infected deaminant and cotyledonous plants and shooting its medium, then followed by induction of we see the phenomenal resistant shoots and selection medium, and then followed by in vitro rooting and as well as the plants are shifted to plastic pots containing soil mix and maintained in the greenhouse. So after transformation experiments, and we have these tiny lines are shifted to greenhouse. Yeah. When we have also used the leaflet expands for transformation experiments, and here we see the after co-cultivation, the leaflet expands are on selection medium, and then followed by induction of shoots. There is nothing but contamination resistant shoots are developed, and followed by in vitro rooting and as well as the plants are shifted to plastic pots containing the soil mix and maintained in the greenhouse. Yeah, these are some of the pictures to show the conformation of this TC-chitinase gene present in the T0, T1, and T2 transgenic lines. Yeah, when we have done the molecular analysis of transgenics and by using PCR analysis in T0 to transformants in both the types of variety genotypes, and as well as using 2 different types of explants. And here we see in de-embryonated cotton explants, more transformation efficiency is present when compared to the leaflet explants. And in T1 transgenics also, we have analyzed the transformation efficiency and both the cultivars and even T2 transgenics. Yeah, this picture shows the southern blot analysis how many these TC content genes have been transferred to transgenic lines. Yeah, the important thing is, okay, we have developed the transgenic lines and confirmed by using the PCR and as southern blot techniques. But how far they possess the they confer the resistance against the different types of fungal spores or fungal types. And especially here we have used 3 types of spores, this early leaf spot and as well as the late leaf spot and rust disease, and whether they have any sort of resistance or not. For this, we have selected different types of parameters. So incubation period, latent period, number of lesions, and then leaf area damage and infection frequency. When we see that according to our experience, the ICT 13947 is having this when compared to other lines. So the 8 line is showing more tolerance when compared to other lines. And even if you take the ICT 7827 also, here the line 06 line consisting of more tolerance. Yeah, these are some of the pictures to show fungal resistance test, non-clinic and transgenic groundnut. Yeah, here late leaf spot disease, the same parameters we have selected to analyze the tolerance. And in the cultivar 113 and 42, the line 05 line is consisting of more tolerance. And likewise, the variety 7827, the line 209 shows the tolerance, high tolerance when compared to the rest of the lines. Here the same fungal resistant test for non-clinic and transgenic groundnut plants expressing TC gene against LLS, late leaf spot disease. And another one is the resistance against the rust. The same parameters have been taken up for comparison to compare the tolerance in between these 2 varieties. So the line 02 line in 139 42 consisting of more tolerance when compared to all other lines. Likewise, in cultivar 7827, the line 10 one is having more tolerance compared to the other line. Yeah, these are some of the pictures in order to show you the fungal resistance of transgenic and as well as non-transgenic groundnut plants expressing this activity. Yeah, so based on our observations, we have successfully attempted to develop a stable transformation system for a groundnut by using agrobacterium 2 mutations LBO4404 strain, harboring binary vector within AR with TC gene. By using the de-embryonated cotyledon expansion and the leaflet expansion of 2 cultivars. And especially advance in regeneration and transformation protocols have led to the successful development of transgenic groundnut with improved agronomic characters. Because we have developed the regeneration protocol, standardized the protocol for the transformation, and then developed the transgenics, evaluated. So that is how we are able to develop the transgenic disease-resistant peanut plants. Yeah, at the end, I would like to say that we have recently advanced our knowledge of genetics to a point where we can manipulate life in a way never intended by nature. We must proceed with the utmost caution in the application of this newfound knowledge, because it is not good to go against the nature. And another important thing is the developing world simply cannot afford to do without agricultural biotechnology. It's very, very important. And another important thing is there can be no peace until people have enough to eat. So very, very important. Investments in agriculture research today can cultivate peace tomorrow. And that is the reason why our Indian government is focusing more on agricultural research. And biotechnology is not the enemy, partner in progress. And most of the people, they think that especially Greenpeace, and they think about biotechnology, it is an enemy, but it is not an enemy, and it is a partner in progress. Yeah, as per our former president, Pratibha Devi Singh Patel, and according to her opinion, efforts towards sustainable agriculture can be greatly augmented with the help of space technology and biotechnology advances. That as per according to this former Prime Minister, so Manmohan Singh ji, we need to use the potential of biotechnology to meet the requirements of hungry people, and this is very, very important. Yeah, these are some of the pictures I would like to show you, because when I have attended a biotechnology conference in USA, I met Peter Bayer, who is the creator of golden rice, and that is in the year of 2012. But in our India, until now, there is no experiments on golden rice. But whereas the neighbor country, Bangladesh, they are doing a lot of work on golden rice, and as well as they are also released. The rice is released in Bangladesh, and either they are cultivating, and they are also using the fruits of growing this golden rice. So, but it is not yet available for the common man. Yeah, okay. These are some of the awards I got. Academy of Plant Sciences India Award in 2005. So Andhra Pradesh Scientist Award 2007. Excellence Award in 2009. And State Meteorologist Best Teacher Award in 2010. Talented Biotechnologist Award in 2011. And then Talented Scientist Award in 2012. And receiving to Professor Panchanana Maheshwara Medal Award in 2017 awarded by the Indian Botanical Society. Yeah, all this credit goes to my PhD scholars. Really, they work day and night, and whatever I achieved during my career, the total credit goes to them. So thank you. Really excited and delighted by presenting a few lines of our work. So with this, once again, I would like to express my deepest thanks to the Council, the executive body of the SPR, and as well as the Professor H.K. Botany and Ahluwalia for selecting me as honorary fellow of this society. So thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Ramaswamy NANNA, for giving a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Especially on transgenics.
Yeah.
Now, I have one apprehension that there are two schools of thoughts.
Yeah.
One is the biodiversity conservation.
Yeah.
And there is the intervention of biotechnological tools.
Yeah.
The core persons who advocate the conservation of biodiversity, they are of the thought, they are of the view that biodiversity is making unnecessary interference in the biodiversity conservation. So biotechnology and biodiversity conservation, they are coming face to face.
Yeah.
And there is no compromise between them. And I fail to understand that lot of money by the government and by the funding agencies is spent on biotechnological researches in order to prepare different crops
Yeah.
on which the use of pesticide, herbicide, weedicide can
Yeah.
be stopped.
Yeah.
And they should be genetically modified.
Yeah.
You can call them as transgenic, as you
Yes.
spoke.
Yeah.
Now, after working for
Mm.
4 or 5 years and
Yeah.
spending crores of rupees, millions of rupees
Yeah.
on such type of researches,
Yeah.
there comes the role of regulatory body.
Yeah.
And by the intervention of a regulatory body,
Yeah.
it is surveyed
Yeah.
whether this biotechnological crop, which
Mm.
has been developed after a research
Yeah.
investigation on
Exactly.
5 years or 4 years or 6 years,
Yeah.
is going to cause drastic losses to the farmers, or
Uh-huh.
it is of no use to the farmers,
Uh-huh.
or the farmers, they will not be benefited by it.
Uh-huh.
So, and at the last, ultimately, that entire research goes to the dustbin,
Mm.
and we are not in a position to release that variety.
Yeah.
You know, after BT cotton,
Yeah.
none of the transgenic crop could be released in India.
Yes.
Whereas in the developed countries, so-called developed countries, and in
Yes.
advanced countries,
Yeah.
such type of transgenic crops are very popular, and
Yeah.
the people, they had been using it for long,
Yeah.
and no side effect or no ill effect have been observed by
Yes.
this transgenic crop.
Yeah.
So, do you think that there is a need to form a common platform where the conservation of
Exactly.
biodiversity specialist, or the
Yeah.
forum on biodiversity conservation specialist, and
Yeah.
the transgenic crop specialist, they should
Yeah.
sit together and should come forward that what type of crop should be selected.
Exactly.
You have selected, you have submitted a project, since it is belonging to transgenic crop or say sort of
Yeah.
genetic transformation or other thing, it will be
Yeah.
approved, and
Yeah.
crores of rupees will be granted. The
Exactly.
work will carry on, and
Yeah.
once you develop that variety, that
Yeah.
will go to the regulatory body,
Right.
and ultimately there is a failure,
Yeah.
and your research is turned down.
Yeah.
So my appeal is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
since you are also in various committees,
Yes.
through this forum, I appeal that either the regulatory body should analyze before the project is sanctioned,
Exactly. Yes.
and they should
Mm.
understand pros and cons of the biotechnological research on transgenic crop variety.
Yeah.
And they should sanction the grant to a scientist only when the regulatory bodies gives a clear sign, a green
Yes, sir.
signal.
Yes.
But after research, the role of regulatory body, I fail to understand that because that is a public money.
Yes.
Whatever grant a scientist receive, that is a public money.
Yeah.
And if that public money after 5 years of research
Yeah.
is not utilized for the public, or for clearing, or for meeting out the hunger challenges
Yeah.
among poor people,
Yeah.
then these biotechnological researches, they will lose their meaning.
Yeah.
So this is my apprehension.
Exactly. Yeah. In total, I'll accept.
And the second point is that we developed
BT
tomato
Bengal.
variety, a tomato variety
Uh-huh.
where 3 different genes were introduced
Yeah.
for delayed ripening.
Yeah.
One was from strawberry, another was from tobacco, and the third one was from banana.
Yeah.
So one of my student, he developed a variety
Mhm.
in which the ripening was delayed by 20 days
Yeah.
from NBRI, that is student word for his PhD
Mhm.
under me. So that variety that was developed, but because of several complications that never came to the field.
Yeah.
Because the tomato is, India is the biggest exporter of tomato.
Yeah.
And if tomato is going to America, then if it is, it is not ripening for 15 days, then
Yeah.
ultimately we will be able to get much foreign revenue out of
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And if during transit it is destroyed because of certain pathogens or certain things, then ultimately the foreign revenue will be stopped.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as biotechnologists, we can put an humble request to the regulatory body and to the authorities through this channel or through this portal, that we'll send the recommendation to the government requesting that you kindly review the entire system of releasing a transgenic variety.
Exactly.
These are my comments on this lecture.
Okay,
Thank you very much for wonderful deliberation.
Thank you.
And this is a time when we shall be having an open forum. Dr. Devarajan Thangadurai is already online.
Okay.
So I welcome Dr. Devarajan for an interactive session, which will be moderated by you. And all our learned expert, esteemed honorary fellows of Society for Plant Research are here. So they will be happy to respond to the queries of our participants and our scientists. Thank you very much for a wonderful deliberation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Over to Dr. Devarajan.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to everyone who have gathered here for this interactive session on what the topics that have been presented since from the morning. Thank you very much, Professor Bhatnagar, for giving me this opportunity to moderate this interactive session. Well, since from morning we had three interesting lectures given by distinguished scientists and of course eminent professors. Dr. NITA KHANDEKAR, who has spoken about soybean research with a special reference to India, and Professor HANCHINAL, who has spoken about the importance of seed security for enhancing food and nutritional security, and of course Professor RAMASWAMY NANNA from Kakatiya University. He has given a lot of impetus information about genetic improvement, especially transgenic technology for developing stress tolerance both in tomato and groundnut. And most all three of them are being awarded as an honorary fellow of this prestigious Society for Plant Research. I mean, we are all witnessing their extraordinary contributions to the field of plant research. And also, we are very much impressed by the kind of work what has been done by them from the past 2 to 3 decades. So as a matter of fact, that this kind of events and these kind of lectures will go in a long way to create a lot of awareness among young generation. And also these kind of lectures will really help us a lot to think about kind of debate what we had right now between biodiversity and biotechnology by Professor Bhatnagar. Like, this will give us a lot of information about how we can go ahead with, recent developments in plant research is concerned. So with these few words, I would like to open this interactive session for further discussion on what has been deliberated from the morning. So if any participants who are on the line can feel free to pose questions to the speakers, okay? And then we will have a discussion. Be specific with the questions because that's what we want, because we have a time limitation. So be specific with your question. Be focused on your question. Please go ahead.
Yeah. May I, Professor Ramaswamy?
Yeah.
I congratulate you wholeheartedly for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
And I'm highly impressed with the part of your presentation.
Yeah.
Professor Bhatnagar has covered everything. But then I'm interested to know about the abiotic stress, these biotic stress reactions.
Yes.
So biotic agents are able to
cause the damage to the plant.
Yeah, there are some mechanism by which the plants undergo resistance against the bacteria and fungi.
Yeah.
And they develop special compounds we call phytoalexins.
Yeah.
So phytoalexins, for example, in this case, the peanuts produce against the agents like aspergillus selectively elicits production of major peanut stimulanoids.
Yeah.
Stimulanoids, for example, resveratrol, arachidin 1, arachidin 3, and SB1. These are the phytoalexins produced against the aspergillus species. And now, if it is so, then how transgenic crops can be modified to produce more phytoalexins? And I could understand you have presented transgenic crops.
Yeah.
And in that case, the genetic material happens to be the embryos.
Yeah.
Because cotyledons are not a good source of genetic material for understanding genetics of phytoalexins. So at what level you have gone to the, have you undergone some studies for the stilbenoids in peanuts, phytoalexins, or you are studying only molecular studies, molecular analysis of
Presently,
vegetation?
presently we have analyzed the molecular level, but
Yeah.
later on we would like to study the different types of phytoalexins.
Phytoalexins.
Yeah.
But I think the molecular study of phytoalexins will be more
Yeah,
appropriate.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think the researchers should concentrate on the molecules which provide resistance to the plants against the bacteria and fungi.
Yeah.
So I think these studies are also undergone, and I really impressed with your the presentation, wonderful presentation with good quality slides. Thank you very much, and I heartily congratulate you for being honored as the honorary fellow of our society, for which you very much deserve, and you have added a glory to the society. Similarly, the other presenters, other honorary fellows have already done a wonderful piece of work, and they all deserve, and I congratulate all of them, Professor HANCHINAL and Dr. KHANDEKAR. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for contributing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other question?
Yes, my question is with Dr. Khandelkar regarding that. Good afternoon, madam. It was really a very nice presentation. I had listened that about the soybean. My query, this is not a question, a query only, regarding the GM status of soybean in India.
So as of now, we've just been given a go-ahead with some kind of work on GM, and we do not have the genes that can be incorporated as such. So we will, IRA has imported some of the transgenic herbicide-resistant varieties. And we, as I said in my lecture, I don't see much need of, again, I may be wrong, but because there are much more important things. I was reading today, I think so Brazil has come up with some new, I just have to go through it. I was looking in the morning, and today itself there was some coverage in some article about Brazil having multi-disease tolerant varieties using GM. So I have to still read it because in the morning only I saw that article, and I have to find out more about that.
Yeah, madam.
Herbicide is not important. Yes, sir.
Yeah, madam. So regarding disease resistance in ribene, Brazil, especially ICGB, one organization is there. So that they have released, especially Dr. Francisco. Dr. Francisco, he did a lot of work on ribene and released the disease resistant ribene. And in Brazil, now they are given to farmers also, and they are cultivating.
Yes.
May I?
Sir, I would just like to add that what I don't know, because I'm so close to the farmers, what I look forward to is multi-trait, incorporation in the varieties. One trait will not work. How that is to be done now, that is only through GM that can be done. And that is extremely important for soybean, because we had a meeting yesterday where they are saying that Brazil is going to grow for us now. Now, what happens to the 6 million farmers in India? So we can't, if there's a black sheep in the family, you can't condemn the black sheep and put them into just ignore it. We have to deal with it and see what needs to be done to see that our soybean becomes more remunerative. And that is towards what aim I am working right now.
May I answer this question, please? May I answer, please? Because import of GM soybean seed has not been approved in India, because we do not actually import soybean, GM soybean. The main fear is that the import of GM soybean will affect the Indian soybean industry by contaminating non-GM varieties in India. Because the soybean production in India, because it's for the total world production, the India is able to produce 80% for the whole world. Then if we introduce GM studies or incorporate Gs here, that will contaminate our the soybean. So it will spoil our soybean. status. That's why we are not able to import GM, because the main fear is
Yes,
that
sir.
only. This is the answer. This is the answer.
For
in terms of-
research, sir, for research, we have got it. IRA has the material.
Research is got it.
Not as a grain, not as a
But
seed.
you, but
Not as a
madam,
seed.
but you carry out study in a very containment situations.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we are not doing it.
Yeah.
IRA only is doing it.
You can't spread it like other crops.
No.
Yeah, good. But this is the reason.
We
main
will
reason.
follow what the government tells us to do. So we
Government,
have to be
yeah.
GM ready, that is all.
Yes,
Not that
very
I
good.
support or oppose it. I would like to be on a neutral platform right now.
This is another challenge for you. Yes.
Madam Director, and you have every right to suggest or right to request him.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely.
Yeah.
We can, once it is told and if we are instructed, and ultimately there should be an outcome of it, because as I was mentioning in the morning, I was at IIHR, they did some transgenic tomato, it never saw the light of the day.
Yeah.
So what is the point of pouring in? Why can't we have some other conventional ways now? CRISPR-Cas9, I think so, is the way forward. Genome editing, where we don't. There are biotechnological other tools. Why can't we use them?
Yeah.
We don't need to run after GM only.
That is very important, because as Dr. NITA KHANDEKAR told that why don't we go for testing other tools rather than developing the transgenic varieties?
Yeah.
Because as Professor Vidpal Singh told, that if soybean is imported from outside and that is transgenic, and it is coming to India and is grown along with the routine or the conventional crop of soybean, the Indian soybean, then it may contaminate.
Yeah.
It means there is a contradiction. There is a conflict of interest between these two. And if there is a conflict of interest, then there is always a possibility of importing voluntarily or involuntarily the transgenic varieties from outside.
Yeah.
Of course, there is an International Quarantine Act. You cannot bring the seeds from other countries without a proper permission and without proper certification. But there are chances that the transgenic varieties, they may come over here. So if they have been developed by introducing certain genes into them, and those genes are susceptible in Indian soybean, then they can dominate over it and can harm the conventional crop of soybean, not only soybean, any other crop.
Any other.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that what is the conflict of interest between the routine crop which is being grown by the farmer and the transgenic crops which are being developed either in India or outside India.
Or outside.
So if they come together, because we are talking about global science, and when global science, so many views are being exchanged, so many things are exchanged, so many plant materials are exchanged, so many knowledge is exchanged. Our Honorable Prime Minister, they had been developing MOU with so many countries for developing these type of technologies. So ultimately what will happen? If we import such type of technologies from outside and they are going to harm our traditional agriculture system, then ultimately we have to be very cautious about it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Sir,
Yeah, I will tell
there's
you one
another-
story, sir.
There's
One
another
story.
point before you start, sir, that our ESP of soybean, like I said, that we talk about it as an oil crop, but it is more important as a nutritional the
point
feed
of-
for the poultry animal husbandry, and we are exporting the non-GM. Our ESP is the non-GM, so it goes to the European country because we are non-GM, and so it's a contradictory situation. We're going natural, we're going organic, we're exporting it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we are so anyway, it is the government's policy, and we will have to abide with what they direct us to do.
Naturally.
Madam, when you say government policy, I'll tell you the real story regarding our BT brinjal. So our parliamentarians, they opposed it. But whereas our neighbor country, they are growing. And then
Came through that.
I got an opportunity appointed as visiting research professor at Northeastern Hill University, Shillong. I stayed for 6 months as a visiting research professor. Then on one day, they have arranged one dinner, sir. Madam, they have arranged one dinner. Then I tasted the curry, brinjal curry. Then I inquired, oh, it is very tasty. Where did you get this brinjal? Sir, daily they come from Bangladesh. They sell in Shillong and we use it, that's all. Then where is our government policy?
It's not only coming and as brinjal, I think so we are growing transgenic brinjal in India, because we don't see shoot and fruit border anymore in the, when you go to the market, we don't have to look at the brinjal.
Yeah.
There's no hole.
Only after cutting, only we come to know whether the border is there or not.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Devarajan, Professor Dinesh Srivastava has to ask something.
Yeah, please, sir. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, I have asked, sir. It's over now.
Okay.
It's over. Such an interesting discussion, really. In itself, looks like a presentation. Actually, otherwise, it looks like the entire discussion is all about. Otherwise, importing transgenic seeds and all, like transgenic material, it looks like a genetic pollution. Otherwise, we generally call it as. Thanks to Dr. Vedpal, who has given this information, and also for thanks a lot for Dr. Professor NITA Madam also for giving wonderful information about the importance of soybean using Indian varieties and all. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Like, if anyone has any other questions, please go ahead. Any other clarifications?
Dr. Anjali, do you have any question?
No,
Any
sir.
questions to
I
Professor
think
HANCHINAL?
it has been discussed well by the inputs of our senior speakers and other eminent scientists. So, okay.
Dr. Khushbu Sharma want to ask. Is it Dr. Devarajan?
Yes. Any questions?
Khushbu Sharma.
Yes, yes, Khushbu this side. Oh, very good afternoon to all the eminent persons, and I would first of all like to extend my gratitude to all the eminent personalities, to Vegetos, for providing a platform so that I got an opportunity to talk all these eminent personalities world over on a single platform. So, my little introduction, I'm a scientific editor by profession. So I'm here to talk about a general question that educational or research institutes, these are meant for upliftment or progression. But organizations or societies, just like this Vegetos, these are a harbinger of change by influencing the policymakers, right? And 70% of marginal farmers prefer to migrate and opt for more secure clerical job rather than adopting agriculture. And this means clearly that these agri-extension services or directorates, these are more or less acting like a support system and not a system itself. So one more thing, where it takes only a week for our way back to Earth from Moon, it takes months or years for research to find place in a journal or a technology to make its way from lab to field. So my question here is that what steps can be taken to attach prestige with the so-called agribusiness and transform it into agri-services? And of course, how a culture of work from home agriculture can be inducted in these COVID times? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to put this question.
I think Dr. Nita can address to this point.
Yeah. So, see, Khushbu, one is that you need to realize that there are two parts of it, apart from society, the research part of it and the extension part of it. So, unfortunately, the research part of it is with the central government, and the extension part of it is with the state government. And there's a little bit of alignment that we need to work on for one. And your answer, what you need is from the sentence that you said agribusiness. Once we make the farmer an agribusiness entrepreneur, he will find pride in what he's doing. So value addition and converting the agriculture into a business is the most important fact. And I think so during the COVID times, and what this government is also emphasizing on MSME through the MSME schemes and through their FPOs and all this. So there's just a trend on going to where the glitter lies, and the villages don't have that glitter. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
need
very
to develop the infrastructure. We need to develop the, if you go to a foreign country, to any place abroad, you can't make out whether it's a village or it's a city. So
very true, very true.
yeah, so it is not about the agriculture business per se, or the agriculture enterprise per se as a source of livelihood. It's to do with the whole system that is there. So we all need to, yeah, converge and develop the villages, and then people will remain there. Why would they run to the city? Nobody wants to go to this to the ghettos and to the slums. Nobody's interested.
Yeah, it'll take a time.
We need to slowly move towards that.
Yes. Yes, anyway, thank you for your.
I think if there is no
Any other
more question, then
questions?
we can.
Yeah, any other questions? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all these, deliberations and interesting information, that has been shared by all the speakers. Thank you very much. Thank you one and all for being part of this, like Global Rendezvous of Honorary Fellows, the academic legends in plant research. Now I pass on to Professor Bhatnagar for further proceedings. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Go ahead, sir,
Devraj, for moderating this very important session in which a lot of discussions were there. So this is now the time to say goodbye, because before we say goodbye, we have to extend the formal vote of thanks on behalf of Society for Plant Research. It was a wonderful interaction, of course, and we had 3 very important lectures yesterday, as everybody knows. And all the 3 lectures were from the eminent scientists, and they have contributed a lot throughout their career, and they are now the stalwart as far as their research areas are concerned. Not only research area, they have shown their excellence in administration as well. The society always feel honored to have all the 6 honorary fellows on the dais, and I am sure that their association with the society in the long run, and their contributions in the time to come by submitting a complete extensive review of their contribution to science and society will go a long way in making the journal and society more popular. Because at this platform, we few people, 50, 60, 70 people, or even more, they are listening to all our learned, esteemed honorary fellows. But if their contribution comes to the journal in the form of an exhaustive review, then it will reach to masses through Springer Nature. As you all know that Vegetos is being circulated by Springer Nature, so it will go to masses. And ultimately, through Vegetos, their views, they can be disseminated. Because during these 2 days webinar, we could understand that there is a missing link between the researches being carried out in the lab and the researches being disseminated to the farmers and to the common people. So Vegetos will become a joining link. It will be a bridge between the research caliber, between the contribution which our esteemed honorary fellows made throughout their career, and the new generation scientists or the budding scientists who will come to know that what type of researches our honorary fellows they have done during their career, and they will take a reference of it and will make their way for further research. So I would request all the honorary fellows to kindly contribute their researches in the form of a review, not now, but in the time to come. And there may be a sort of timeline, and our honorary fellows, they can suggest us that during this time period, we shall be able to submit a review for Vegetos, and it will be wonderful for, and with good reference article for everybody. So this webinar was organized in order to understand that our honorary fellows, their contribution to the science and society is so much so that the society have nominated them for this prestigious award. This was one point. Another point is that after virtual meeting, in an executive body meeting, we shall be deciding that what shall be the exact venue, what shall be the correct venue or appropriate venue where this award can be conferred to our scientists. They will be invited. You all will be invited over there so that this award can be conferred. We are looking for, because this is an online mode and most of the things are now changing from online to offline. So we are looking for a correct, right opportunity where some international gathering should be there or some good national gathering should be there of the scientists where this felicitation can be done. So we will keep you informed once our executive body meeting takes place and we mutually decide about it. And this is a regular feature now. Almost every year, our executive body, they will be nominating 5 to 6 honorary fellows who will not only remain honorary fellows, but their active cooperation, their blessings, their active support will remain available as they become the senior most part of this society, and their support will be very important for all of us. So with these words, I thank all our senior executive body members, Professor Vedpal Singh, Zonal President, Zonal Secretary of North Zone, Professor Anjali Agarwal, our National President, Vice President, Professor Dinesh Srivastav, Professor HANCHINAL, and all our learned speakers, Professor NITA KHANDEKAR, Professor RAMASWAMY NANNA, Professor Rao yesterday, and Professor HANCHINAL. And for moderating this event, Dr. Devarajan Thangadurai. We are all can do anything if we are together. So this virtual platform has provided us an opportunity to at least see each other face to face, so that whenever we meet in a gathering, we shall be able to recognize that who is. It is not a substitute of offline meetings, because in offline we can interact so much so that we can come to certain conclusion. So thank you all very much for joining this platform and sparing a lot of your time despite your very, very hectic administrative schedule. Thank you all very much, and we take leave.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for bestowing the honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.